Naoto Takayama, a trainee at Japanese National Railways, found that his days were not only filled with train security missions, but also shaped by complicated dynamics with the women on his team. He often felt caught between Oi Sakure's protective nature, Haruka Komi's firm attitude, and the gentle attention of Iwaizumi, which gradually turned the work atmosphere into one filled with emotional tension. Amid various dangerous incidents along the rails, these relationships became the greatest test for Naoto in understanding his feelings, responsibilities, and personal maturity. JNR was the largest railway company in Japan. Its tracks stretched from Wakanai Station in Hokkaido in the north to Nishi-Oyama Station in Kagoshima in the south, covering a total of 25,000 kilometers of steel rails. The company existed through government involvement and was fully operated by the state. Because of this, many people dreamed of working there, especially train enthusiasts like Naoto. One day, while walking to school, he saw a small child looking upset because a balloon was stuck high in a tree. Suddenly, a girl named Oi ran over and used Naoto as support to reach the balloon. She skillfully climbed and landed safely before returning the balloon to the child. The child felt overjoyed and praised her for being amazing. Not long after, a strong gust of wind caused an awkward moment for another girl nearby. Naoto reacted with surprise, and Oi quickly teased him for being easily distracted. She then approached the girl and asked whether she was also part of the JNR OJT student program. The two quickly became friendly and walked together toward school. Upon arriving in class, Naoto met the same girl from earlier that morning. She introduced herself as Haruka. Shortly after, the instructor entered the classroom. The place was part of JNR's internship system known as JNR OJT. For reasons unknown that year, all applicants were assigned to the Railway Security Unit, which required special training. That day marked the first day of their training at the JNR High School. The instructor who entered the class was Captain Hitomi from the Tokyo Riot Police Unit. She had been assigned to train the students for the next month. She reminded them not to expect special treatment just because they were trainees. She also announced that class responsibility would follow the attendance list, beginning with the first student, Sho, who at that moment was still casually eating. Captain Hitomi explained that within the railway company, they would be responsible for passenger safety, meaning people's lives would be in their hands. Even the smallest mistake on the rails could lead to serious consequences, so she expected the trainees to act professionally. She also emphasized the importance of respecting superiors by responding firmly when addressed. The training then began. At one point, Captain Hitomi presented a difficult scenario to Naoto, asking what should be done if a criminal attempted to escape instead of surrendering. Naoto did not understand how to respond to such an extreme situation. From behind him, Oi confidently offered an answer that reflected a very strict and outdated approach to law enforcement. The class reacted with surprise. Captain Hitomi acknowledged the reasoning behind the answer but clarified that such actions were not acceptable under modern regulations. The discussion highlighted the seriousness of their responsibilities and the importance of following proper procedures. From that day forward, Naoto's challenging training began as he worked toward his goal of becoming part of JNR. During a school break, Naoto approached Haruka and praised her for consistently achieving top scores on daily tests. Haruka appeared shy, while Oi looked annoyed by the attention he gave her. Oi jokingly suggested that Haruka should not stay too close to Naoto to avoid picking up his absent-minded habits. Naoto felt irritated by Oi's attitude. Suddenly, Sho asked why the EF-66 was classified as an electric train. Haruka explained that the letter E stood for electric, while F was the sixth letter of the alphabet, indicating a six-axle locomotive. Sho finally understood the explanation. Haruka smiled and offered to help them study anytime. Sho felt delighted to hear that. And Oi also expressed interest in studying together. The four of them became more motivated to complete their month-long training. That day, Naoto and his friends were doing their running drills. Sho ran with incredible enthusiasm, sprinting ahead at full speed, while Haruka struggled to keep up, moving much more slowly due to exhaustion. As Haruka ran, the motion distracted Naoto for a moment and caused him to lose his footing and fall. After finishing the run, they moved on to firearms practice. Captain Hitomi explained that railway security officers were allowed to carry firearms, which meant they were required to complete at least 50 shots per year. Any trainee who could not properly handle a firearm would not be accepted into the program. She then asked the trainees to step forward one by one to take their turn shooting. Naoto appeared extremely nervous when it was his turn. He was even startled by the sound of his own shot. Captain Hitomi advised him to stay calm while shooting and to maintain a steady stance. Sho fired several shots in quick succession. Captain Hitomi suggested that he lower his arms slightly. His stance was already good, but unfortunately, none of his shots hit the target. Not long after, Haruka stumbled because she was startled by the gunfire. Naoto and Sho quickly approached her to check her condition, and fortunately, she was unharmed. Oi then stepped forward to shoot. and every one of her shots hit the target perfectly. The other trainees admired her skill. Captain Hitomi praised Oi's accuracy but reminded her to use both hands when firing. This was how the days of training passed for the trainees at JNR High School. There were only 2 days left before they were scheduled to depart for Nishikokugunji Station for field training, which would also serve as the toughest final test of their training period. That day, Captain Hitomi briefed the trainees and explained that trains of that era still followed steam locomotive standards. If they could not master this system, they would not be able to work on any train, whether electric trains or bullet trains. They were assigned to practice shoveling coal into a C-62 steam locomotive. They would not pass unless the train could reach a speed of 100 kilometers per hour. Naoto prepared himself with his group members, as they were assigned the first turn. Once the train started moving, the 4 of them continuously shoveled coal. In general, a C-62 locomotive required around 100 liters of water and 40 kilograms of coal for every kilometer traveled, so reaching 100 kilometers per hour required a significant amount of coal. The train kept moving while Naoto and his friends worked together to keep the fire going. However, the coal they had shoveled was still not enough, and the train's speed only reached around 80 kilometers per hour. Naoto realized that something was wrong. He told his friends that they needed to improve their combustion efficiency. Hearing this, Haruka also realized that they could not simply pile coal into the furnace. Sho did not fully understand what Naoto meant. Naoto directed Sho to shovel coal exactly where he instructed. It turned out that simply loading coal into the furnace was not enough to improve efficiency. The center of the furnace needed to have less coal, while the edges required more. Because of this, using a regular shovel allowed them to place the coal more precisely along the edges. Naoto and Haruka carefully directed where the coal should be placed as they worked. When the train finally stopped at its destination, Captain Hitomi informed them that Naoto's group had successfully passed the coal shoveling test. They felt incredibly proud, and even more surprising was the fact that their group was the only one that managed to reach the target speed of 100 kilometers per hour. Captain Hitomi then informed the trainees that after completing their training the following day, they would all be allowed to join the JNR OJT student program. Even though they would still be in training, their status would remain part of the railway security unit responsible for customer safety, and they were expected to uphold those principles. The final training session at JNR High School served as an evaluation of their practical abilities. After that, Naoto was assigned to Tokyo. For reasons they did not fully understand, Naoto ended up meeting his group members again there. That day, they received instructions from their superior, Osamu. He told them not to do anything unusual and to simply follow his orders. Osamu then pointed out that Sho's uniform looked different and warned him not to stand out unnecessarily, because any trouble could affect Osamu's opportunity to work at headquarters. Not long after, Osamu received a phone call and said that he would send someone to handle the situation. Oi asked if there was a case that needed attention. Osamu explained that someone had reported hearing a dog barking on a train. He asked one of them to take care of it. Naoto and Haruka volunteered to go and handle the situation. The train they were assigned to inspect was the Hayabusa Express, equipped with sleeping cars and pulled by the latest EF68 electric locomotive. The sleeping cars were Series 28, and all of them were double-deck. Naoto loved trains, and this was his first time riding this particular type. They immediately began checking every compartment inside the cars. Naoto wondered why Haruka had chosen to work for JNR. He had been curious for a while because, during the month they had known each other, they had never talked about it. Suddenly they heard a puppy barking. Haruka quickly checked the ceiling area, and in the process, Naoto accidentally stepped on the hem of her skirt. Haruka explained that the reason she wanted to join JNR was because there was someone she admired and hoped to meet someday. A moment later, Haruka lost her balance while trying to fix her skirt and ended up falling onto Naoto. Their faces turned red from embarrassment due to how close they were. Naoto quickly apologized and moved away. Haruka mentioned that Naoto had helped her once again. They managed to retrieve the puppy and then filled out a lost and found form. Standing close to Haruka made Naoto increasingly nervous. He commented that Haruka seemed very refined because she knew the value of the dog and other details about it. Suddenly, Oi arrived and advised Haruka not to trust Naoto too easily, since she believed men often tried to charm women. Naoto was puzzled by why Oi seemed to dislike men so much, and Oi expressed her view that men tended to be selfish. As they exited the elevator, they saw a pair of thieves snatching a customer's bag. The 2 suspects ran very fast, and Naoto and the others immediately chased after them. Sho ran through an intersection, while Naoto, Haruka, and Oi tried to take a shortcut through a fence. Shortly after, Osamu called Naoto and asked him to report in immediately, but Naoto explained that he and his friends were busy chasing the suspects. Osamu warned them not to do anything reckless. Aoi quickly grabbed Naoto's phone and turned it off, believing that catching the suspects was the priority at that moment. Aoi jumped over the passenger entrance gate, while the suspects rushed toward the Natsukashi bullet train that was about to depart. Unfortunately, the doors closed before Aoi could reach the car. Frustrated, she knocked on the train door, and Naoto tried to calm her down to prevent her from getting hurt. Aoi pulled away and complained that Naoto was holding her too tightly. Haruka, meanwhile, remembered the train schedule clearly. The train's destination was Omiya, and it was scheduled to arrive there at around 1:50 a.m. To catch up, they would need to board bullet train 599, bound for Tohoku, which was scheduled to depart at 1:20 a.m. There were no other trains available, and it seemed like the suspects might get away. Haruka recalled that there had been a special announcement during the morning briefing, even though it was not listed on the regular schedule. Hearing this, Naoto realized there might be another way to pursue the suspects. He mentioned Dr. Yellow, a special inspection bullet train used to check overhead lines and tracks, capable of reaching speeds of up to 200 kilometers per hour. Its schedule was not made public, so Naoto had never seen it before. Not long after, they ran into Sho, who admitted that he had gotten lost earlier, allowing the suspects to escape. Without wasting time, they boarded Dr. Yellow. When the Natsukashi train arrived at Omiya Station, the suspects stepped out of the car only to find Naoto and the others already waiting for them. The suspects appeared annoyed, feeling that JNR security personnel were treating them like criminals. Naoto attempted to speak politely and asked them a few questions, explaining that they would be detained if proven guilty. Unexpectedly, one of the suspects pulled out a sharp object and tried to attack them. Fortunately, Sho reacted quickly and blocked the attempt. As the other suspect tried to charge at Sho, Aoi swiftly intervened and knocked him off balance. The suspect attempted to get back up, but Haruka reacted quickly and helped subdue him. Their mission was finally complete. However, instead of receiving praise, Osamu scolded the four of them for acting independently and immediately reported their actions to his superior. Naoto and the others began to worry that they might have to look for new jobs, feeling disappointed by the reprimand since they believed they had acted responsibly. To their surprise, Naoto was later accepted into the on-the-job training program as part of the railway security unit. When he arrived at the room, his friends were already there waiting. It turned out that all of them had been accepted and assigned to the same unit. Naoto and the members of his team were accepted as interns in the Tokyo Central Railway Security Unit, Division 4, the Anti-Riot Division. Their division head was Nana. On their first day there, Nana was pouring tea while Naoto watched her. He was startled when Nana noticed that he had been staring. His friends could hardly believe they had all ended up working together again in the same unit. Haruka admitted that she was very happy to be working with Naoto again, while Aoi actually wished she would not have to see him anymore. Still, she felt relieved that the higher-ups had assigned her to the railway security unit. Nana introduced herself as the head of Division 4 Anti-Riot of the Tokyo Central Railway Security Unit. Her role was to oversee their performance. Division 4 was commonly referred to as K4. Nana did not want to be addressed as chief and preferred to be called simply by her name. One day, officers prepared the NRST locomotive from the depot and coupled it with the train cars. Captain Hitomi informed her subordinates that they had just received a report from Yokohama Station about an explosion. She reminded them that although the assignment would be challenging, they must prioritize passenger safety above all else, and those responsible for the incident must face serious consequences. The train departed via the special southbound Tokaido track. At that moment, Naoto and his friends saluted the unit that was leaving. Seeing the dedication required in the job of railway security made Naoto feel uncertain, even though he had always dreamed of becoming a train driver. Aoi asked Nana whether they would also be deployed, but Nana explained that their assignment was different. Naoto and the others walked around the station area. Naoto felt grateful that they were only assigned to headquarters. Aoi, on the other hand, was dissatisfied because she believed that a security unit should be deployed directly to incident locations. Not long after, an elderly woman approached Aoi and asked for directions to the bullet train platform. Aoi casually pointed in the direction, but Naoto quickly stepped in to assist her more kindly and guided her to the bullet train staff. Aoi was surprised to see how considerate Naoto was when serving passengers. Later that afternoon, Naoto encountered a young boy who was crying after being separated from his mother. He could not calm the child down. Soon, Sho approached to help, but neither of them could stop the boy's tears. A little while later, Haruka came over. She understood that the child must have been separated from his mother and smiled warmly at him. Seeing Haruka's gentle demeanor, the boy immediately ran into her arms. Naoto felt fortunate that their unit had female members who could handle situations like that. Aoi watched from a distance, quietly holding back her frustration. Aoi later approached Nana and questioned why their duties felt like minor policing tasks. She expressed her desire to work as part of a security team that responded directly to incidents. Nana explained that maintaining safety at Tokyo Station was just as important. She sensed that there was something off about Aoi's mindset, because their role was not about engaging in confrontations. With calm authority, Nana confiscated a weapon that Aoi had hidden under her clothing. Meanwhile, Naoto and Haruka were at the Lost and Found Information Center to hand over a bag they had discovered. The bag contained clothes and toiletries belonging to a passenger. They also noticed a dog that had not yet been picked up by its owner. The owner had already called and planned to retrieve it that day, which made Haruka feel relieved. That day, Naoto and his friends were assigned to put up several pamphlets on the information boards. Not long after, Nana approached them and invited them to have lunch together. Naoto suggested they take turns going for lunch, but suddenly Aoi pulled Haruka along and insisted on going first. Sho wondered why they left ahead of the others, and Aoi justified it by saying that the rule was clearly ladies first. Sho was actually very hungry at the time, but he could only give in to the girls. At lunch, Nana treated Haruka and Aoi. After they finished eating, a dessert was served. The maid cafe presented a special dessert infused with liquid nitrogen. Nana glanced at Aoi, which made her feel slightly embarrassed. Once Aoi tasted the dessert, she loved it because of its delicious flavor. Nana believed that sweet food was often helpful when someone felt uneasy. Meanwhile, Sho grew irritated because Aoi and Haruka had not returned. Naoto suggested that they finish their tasks before the two girls came back. Suddenly, an explosion occurred near where Naoto and Sho were standing. Fortunately, Sho reacted quickly and shielded Naoto. The people in the station were thrown into panic when they heard the sound of the blast. Naoto and the others quickly went to meet the Katamachi station master to discuss the bomb situation. Based on the latest information, the perpetrator had already planted bombs inside Tokyo Station, and the earlier explosion had only been a demonstration. Naoto found this strange because he thought the target had been Yokohama, but Sho explained that Tokyo Station had actually been the real target from the beginning. Nana then asked the Katamachi station master what kind of ransom the perpetrator was demanding. It turned out that the perpetrator was asking for 11 billion in exchange for information about the bomb's location. Naoto felt that the ransom amount made no sense. Haruka pointed out that Tokyo Station generated around 33 billion in revenue within a single day, so the ransom amount actually seemed reasonable in comparison. The Katamachi station master explained that if the ransom was not delivered by 3:00 p.m., there would be a series of large explosions throughout Tokyo Station. They only had 1 hour left. He had already contacted Captain Hitomi, but even if the bomb squad returned immediately from Yokohama, they still would not make it in time. Naoto suggested evacuating the passengers right away, but that plan was considered too risky because it could cause widespread panic. Since this was Tokyo Station, such panic could disrupt traffic flow across the entire city. Nana asked the Katamachi station master to prepare the ransom money immediately, and he agreed. After he left, Aoi wondered why they had to comply with the perpetrator's demands. Nana explained that as JNR employees, their top priority had to be the safety of the passengers. Naoto wished he could locate the bomb before Captain Hitomi returned. He then suggested that they search for the bomb themselves. Sho agreed, but reminded everyone that they would only search for it, not attempt anything beyond that. Nana planned to inform other staff members to watch for suspicious objects. If they could not find or deal with the bomb by 2:50 p.m., they would hand over the ransom. Naoto and the others headed to the locker area. There were around 3,000 lockers, and searching them would be a major challenge. They began checking each locker using detection equipment. Aoi noticed how energized Naoto seemed and wondered if his security instincts were kicking in. Naoto denied that and said he only wanted everyone, especially the passengers, to be able to ride the train safely. Staff members continued checking every area of Tokyo Station, which made passengers curious about what was happening. Even so, no one had found the bomb yet. Haruka and the others had already checked 368 lockers, and it became clear that this method would not be fast enough as time kept running out. Aoi suggested that the perpetrator might be using the same pattern as before. She believed the bomb was probably hidden somewhere they would not normally suspect. Suddenly, Haruka received a phone call informing her that a dog in the lost and found area had been barking non-stop. Sho became convinced that this was the bomb's location. He trusted the dog's instincts. Naoto agreed with Sho, and the four of them rushed to the lost and found center. Sho noticed how unusually large the dog carrier was, even though the dog itself was small. The dog had been barking for about 30 minutes while staff were speaking with its owner. Aoi pressed her ear against the carrier and heard a ticking sound inside. She concluded that the bomb was inside the carrier. They immediately split up their tasks. Some of them reported the situation to the station leader, while others began guiding passengers away from the area. Naoto wanted to rescue the dog, but Aoi stopped him from moving the carrier because the bomb likely had a trap mechanism, and any careless movement could trigger it. They secured the dog carrier in place, and Aoi carefully cut the bottom part open. Naoto wanted to contact the bomb disposal unit, but Aoi believed it was impossible because they only had 15 minutes left, exactly as the perpetrator had predicted. She suspected that the perpetrator intended to use the explosion as a distraction to escape. Aoi carefully worked on the bottom of the carrier while Naoto reminded her not to act recklessly. Aoi believed that if they did not confront the situation, nothing would change. She felt that if Naoto was afraid, he could step back. But Naoto believed he had to help because if the bomb exploded there, passengers could be seriously harmed. Naoto asked whether Aoi knew how to disarm a bomb. He admitted that his father had once taught him the basics, but this was the first time he had ever tried to apply that knowledge in a real situation. Aoi carefully cut one of the wires on the device. Not long after, Haruka rushed over and asked what the two of them were doing, because Nana had clearly told everyone not to touch the bomb. Unfortunately, it was already too late, as Aoi was fully focused on trying to disarm it. At the same time, Shio was guiding the passengers toward the exit to keep them safe. Aoi asked Naoto to hold the wires steady because she needed to cut the white and yellow wires at the same time. She told him to move closer so he could reach them properly. Naoto looked uneasy because the distance between them was very small, but Aoi urged him to step in closer so they could work more precisely. Meanwhile, the station master of Katamachi was on his way to the ransom drop location. Back at the scene, Aoi and Naoto still had not managed to stop the bomb. Naoto became unsure about which wire should be cut next. He suggested cutting the pink wire, but then he decided to cut the red one instead. Their attempt still did not work. Naoto told Aoi to cut the pink wire immediately, but she refused because doing so could trigger the explosion right away. Aoi then asked Naoto to hold the bag containing the device and told him to trust her. She quickly ran off. Haruka asked what she could do to help. Naoto asked Haruka to make sure that no one would be in danger if the bomb went off. Haruka felt frustrated because she wanted to help him. Naoto calmly reminded her that, no matter what happened, the passengers always came first, and that was the principle they had learned. Haruka then ran off to carry out that responsibility. At that moment, only 1 minute remained on the timer. Naoto felt helpless and began to think that his dream of becoming a train driver might never come true. Suddenly, Aoi came back and sprayed something onto the bomb. A cold mist covered the device. She told Naoto to hold it firmly. Time was running out, and only seconds remained. Fortunately, the countdown stopped with 5 seconds left. Naoto and Aoi both felt a huge wave of relief. Elsewhere, the station master was about to hand over the ransom money to the suspect. However, security forces quickly moved in and apprehended him. He struggled briefly, but the officers restrained him without causing further harm. The station master of Katamachi looked relieved, and Captain Hitomi prepared to question the suspect afterward. Captain Hitomi felt satisfied that the mission had been handled successfully. Naoto asked Aoi what she had used earlier. It turned out that the spray contained liquid nitrogen, which she used to freeze the circuit board so that the electrical current would stop flowing. Aoi looked exhausted and leaned against Naoto for support. She asked him to forget about what had just happened and apologized because she only needed to rest against him for a moment. She also thanked Naoto for trusting her. The next day, Nana announced that starting that day, Naoto had been appointed as the vice leader of Division 4, the anti-riot unit. Naoto was shocked to hear this news. Nana explained that the promotion was a result of what had happened the day before. Aoi wondered why someone as timid as Naoto had been chosen for the position. Sho and Haruka said they did not mind the decision. Nana stated that her choice was final. Aoi eventually agreed, even if she did so reluctantly. Naoto laughed when he saw Aoi's displeased expression. Deep down, he felt that he might be drifting even further away from his dream of becoming a train driver. One winter day, the Hokuto's train sped forward, cutting through heavy snowfall. Two people who had been waiting for it smiled as the train passed by them. On another day, a girl named Marie sat inside a train car as it stopped at Tabata Station. Not long after, Naoto stepped into the same car, and Marie greeted him right away. Naoto was surprised that Marie recognized him without even seeing his face. She explained that she had already memorized the sound of his footsteps. Naoto asked whether she had started her OJT program that week. Marie explained that she was doing her OJT at a Japanese food company. Naoto wondered why Marie called him senior, even though they were the same age. Marie clarified that he was her senior specifically in the OJT program. Naoto admitted that even though he had only been working for 1 month, it felt like an entire year had passed. Marie commented that working in the security unit seemed quite demanding. Naoto agreed and joked that maybe he should have applied to be a restaurant server like Marie instead. Soon, the Yamanote A train arrived at the station. Marie immediately recognized the Series 231 train just from its sound. Not long after, the Yamanote A train ran side by side with the Keihin Tohoku train they were riding. Marie confidently predicted that the Yamanote A train would arrive first. Naoto was not convinced, since the Keihin Tohoku train was still slightly ahead at that moment. Marie even challenged him, insisting that the Yamanote A was faster. Sure enough, the Yamanote A train reached Tokyo Station first. Naoto was puzzled about how that happened. Marie explained that the Series 231 trains were still in excellent condition and suggested that Naoto might need a bit more practice in recognizing these details. They parted ways at the station shortly after. As Naoto walked toward his office, he suddenly saw Oi detaining someone. Naoto was surprised that another incident had occurred. Oi was holding a man and firmly instructing him to cooperate. Naoto was confused by what he was seeing. Oi explained that the person she had detained was involved in criminal activity. Naoto asked what the person had done, especially since he had already lost consciousness. Oi did not understand why Naoto showed sympathy towards someone who had broken the law. Suddenly, a foreign visitor approached Naoto and spoke to him in English. Naoto was startled and became very nervous. The visitor asked about the bullet train. Naoto struggled to understand because he was not confident in his English skills. Fortunately, Haruka arrived and calmly explained the information about the bullet train and how to purchase the ticket. Naoto felt very grateful for her help. Oi commented that Naoto really should study English. Naoto replied that his mind was already filled with railway knowledge, which made it difficult for him to absorb another language. Later at the office, Oi was unexpectedly told to write a formal apology letter. She was confused about why she had to write it after successfully securing a suspect. She even had to rewrite it because it needed to be written in pen. Oi continued to complain quietly while writing it. Naoto offered to help, but she refused because she did not want to be outdone by a man. Naoto wondered why Oi had gone as far as knocking a person unconscious when simply restraining him would have been enough. Oi believed it was more efficient to secure the situation that way. Not long after, Haruka came by and brought drinks. She offered to help Oi with the letter, but Oi declined, confident that she could handle it herself. A moment later, Naoto pointed out that Oi had made a mistake on the third line. At lunchtime, Oi ate together with Nana and Haruka. She had difficulty understanding the names of the dishes on the menu, so she randomly chose one. Haruka explained that the dish was a type of fish with a coarse texture. Oi quickly changed her choice. Haruka then mentioned that the new selection was a bean soup that was well known around the Mediterranean region. Hearing about the Mediterranean made her think about the Trans-Siberian route in that area. Oi clarified that not all places in the Mediterranean were connected to the Trans-Siberian route. Oi then noticed Naoto and Sho nearby and wondered why they were there. Naoto explained that he and Sho also wanted to try the food at that restaurant. Oi and Naoto started bickering again, and Oi commented that Naoto did not seem suited to eating at a place like that. Haruka was puzzled by their behavior. She then asked whether Oi had finally decided on her order. To everyone's surprise, Marie turned out to be working at that very restaurant. Naoto immediately greeted her, clearly not expecting to see Marie working there. Marie asked Naoto whether the uniform she was wearing suited her. Naoto said that the uniform looked perfect on Marie. Marie then introduced herself to Naoto's friends. She was an 11th grade student at Kiryu Railway Technical High School, and she sincerely thanked them for looking after Naoto all this time. Haruka greeted her warmly and also commented on how well the uniform fit Marie. Nana guessed that Marie and Naoto both shared a strong love for trains. Naoto explained that Marie enjoyed listening to the sounds of trains, station departure bells, and similar noises. Haruka described Marie as a collector of train sounds. Oi wondered if all students from the Railway Technical School were like Naoto. Marie quickly clarified that no one was as unusual as him. That evening, Naoto walked home with Marie. He bought taiyaki, and they relaxed together on a park bench while enjoying the snack and chatting. When Marie saw Naoto carefully checking the bench before sitting down, she was reminded of their first day of school. According to Naoto, inspecting seats was a basic habit for train drivers. Even though their classmates had laughed at him back then, Marie had actually been impressed because she realized how serious Naoto was about becoming a train driver. At that time, Naoto himself still had no clear idea what his future would look like. He wondered whether he would succeed in the security unit and tried not to dwell too much on what had already happened. Marie suddenly mentioned that Naoto's friend Oi seemed very suited to working in the security unit. Naoto did not fully understand what she meant, but he often felt uneasy whenever Oi was around, as if he was being closely watched. He never quite understood how Oi thought. The next day, the work at the 4th Division's anti-riot office was extremely busy. Haruka offered to help Naoto with his tasks. Naoto became noticeably flustered when Haruka stood very close to him while working. He grew so nervous that he lost focus and even fell from his chair. Shortly after, Naoto noticed several missed calls from Marie. It turned out that Marie wanted to ask the security unit for help. Marie explained that her friend Kaori, who often worked with her to create custom ringtones, had been missing since the previous night. The last thing Marie knew was that Kaori planned to record sounds at a certain station. Marie had tried calling Kaori's phone many times but received no response. She did not know which station Kaori had gone to. Normally, Kaori would leave a message with someone after finishing her recordings, but this time she had not. Naoto reassured Marie that she should not worry because he and the others would do their best to find Kaori. The team felt optimistic about locating her. They immediately began checking the incident reports from the previous day. If Kaori had been involved in any incident in Tokyo, her name would likely appear in those files. They continued going through report after report in search of clues. Meanwhile, Captain Itomi deployed the anti-riot unit to carry out their duties. Naoto remarked that the unit seemed as intense and disciplined as ever. Not long after, Nana arrived and asked whether they had found anything. Oe replied that they still had no leads. Nana wondered if they should request help from another division. Naoto suggested that he and the team try a little longer before escalating the search, and Nana agreed before leaving the room. Naoto stepped outside shortly afterward, where Marie approached him and apologized for causing trouble. Naoto told her not to worry because helping people in difficult situations was part of the security unit's responsibility. Marie commented on how impressive the anti-riot officers looked as they prepared to leave for their assignment. Naoto explained that their duties were indeed different from others and that his own work sometimes involved similar responsibilities. A moment later, Naoto was called by Nano. Around the same time, Marie's phone ringtone went off. Nano recognized the sound immediately. It turned out that Kaori's phone had been found and turned in to the Lost and Found Center. Some children and their parent had discovered it and brought it there, but they did not remember exactly where they had found it. Haruka and the others examined Kaori's phone. They checked the photos and call history but found no useful clues. Marie then asked them to listen to the voice recordings. When they played the most recent one, they'd heard a man's voice in the background, which suggested that Kaori might have been in danger. Naoto realized that this could be a serious case. Marie grew increasingly worried about Kaori's condition. There were no additional recordings that could provide more hints. Marie then listened carefully to the recording using her earphones. She focused intently on the train sounds captured in the background of the audio file. After concentrating on the details of those sounds, Marie finally noticed something important hidden within the recording. Marie then led them to Yumi-Shibora Station on the Tsurumi Line, the only station that faces directly toward the Kiin Canal. Haruka wondered why Marie had chosen that location. Marie explained that in Kaori's last recording, she had faintly heard the sound of waves hitting a wall. She had also picked up the sound of a brake test, something that could only be performed at the final station on a line. From those clues, Marie concluded that the closest JNR station capable of capturing all those sounds was Yumi-Shibora Station. Sho had not realized that Marie could hear the sound of waves in the recording. Naoto mentioned that Marie's hearing was rarely wrong, and he felt confident that this was the place connected to Kaori's case. At that station, people without special permission were usually directed out through the park area. Hui believed the perpetrators would not stay on the train for long since they were holding a girl against her will. They quickly began searching the nearest stations. To speed things up, they split into groups. Haruka and Sho checked each storage building one by one. Meanwhile, Naoto asked Marie to search with him around Shin-Shibora. Up to that point, they still had not found any trace of Kaori. Then, when Marie and Naoto opened one of the warehouses, they were shocked to find Kaori inside, tied up and unable to move. Naoto immediately contacted the others to inform them that Kaori had been located. Marie hoped Kaori would soon regain consciousness. Not long after, Kaori slowly opened her eyes, and Marie embraced her tightly in relief. Before long, the others arrived. Oe quickly untied the ropes around Kaori. She urged everyone to leave the place immediately. Haruka and Marie carefully supported Kaori as they moved. Unexpectedly, the criminals suddenly appeared at the doorway. They were startled, assuming that Naoto and the others were police officers because of their uniforms. Oe clarified that they were part of a railway security unit. The criminals then grabbed batons and prepared to confront them. Naoto asked Haruka to take Kaori away right away. Marie was deeply worried about Naoto, but he said there was something he needed to handle as the deputy leader of the 4th Anti-Riot Division. Sho, Oe, and Naoto readied themselves with batons as they stood their ground and faced the attackers. That night, Nana informed Captain Hitomi that the group captured by Naoto and the others had been involved in illegal underground drug distribution, and Kaori had accidentally discovered their activity. Fortunately, Kaori did not suffer any serious injuries. Captain Hitomi praised Naoto and the team for their work. She asked Nana whether she had enjoyed watching the situation unfold. Nana admitted that she was curious to see how her subordinates, especially Naoto, would grow from experiences like this. The next day, Naoto met Marie in a train car. They talked about Kaori's condition. At that time, Kaori was still in the hospital, but she was already recovering well. Marie expressed her deep gratitude to Naoto and the others because their efforts had saved Kaori. When they arrived at Tokyo Station, they stepped off the train together. Marie admitted that she was surprised by how much Naoto had changed. She mentioned that he looked much cooler now. Naoto's face turned red at the compliment. Marie smiled and gave Naoto a respectful salute. Naoto returned the salute, and they shared a light laugh before heading off to their respective workplaces. Marie smiled as she watched Naoto walk away. One day, Naoto boarded the Odoriko train with Oi and Haruka. Oi was completely captivated by the ocean view through the train window. Haruka mentioned that the Odoriko train was famous for how close it ran to the sea. Oi felt as if the view did not even look like it was seen from inside a train because the windows were so wide and clear. Naoto explained that the Odoriko Panorama train was specifically designed so passengers could fully enjoy the scenery along the route. Suddenly, a passenger sitting next to them asked them to keep their voices down. That passenger turned out to be Nawa, a very famous idol. Naoto immediately apologized. Nawa's manager also apologized and explained that Nawa could only get some sleep while traveling because her schedule was extremely packed. Nawa told her manager there was no need to apologize since no one had asked for any help from them. Earlier, Nana and Osamu had assigned Naoto and his friends to escort an idol. Their client was Nawa, a popular idol who was currently serving as a model for JNR. Nana had shown them a photo of Nawa, but none of them recognized her. Osamu was surprised that they did not recognize someone who was being widely admired across Japan. Oi admitted that she rarely watched television, while Haruka said she only watched the news. Nana explained that Nawa had recently appeared in many commercials and TV dramas. Even though Nawa's schedule was incredibly busy, she still agreed to attend a JNR event in Izu. Nana believed that Nawa's presence would greatly boost JNR's popularity, and Osamu wanted to make sure nothing went wrong during her trip. Meanwhile, Nawa asked her manager why they had to take the train again. Her manager reminded her that she was currently working for JNR. Naoto commented that riding a train felt exciting, almost like going on an adventure. He also explained that the Odoriko train took its name from the Dancer of Izu. Naoto wondered if Nawa had ever heard about the story from Izu. Her manager mentioned that it was actually the third movie Nawa had starred in. Naoto praised her and said he was sure the Odoriko train must have looked amazing in that film. Haruka pointed out that the train itself was not shown in the movie, which made Naoto protest dramatically about how a film titled The Dancer of Izu could leave out the Odoriko train. Haruka and the others simply laughed at Naoto's over-the-top reaction. Before long, the Odoriko train arrived at Edo Station, which was located near the JNR building. As soon as she stepped off the train, Nawa stretched her body. Naoto prepared to collect a station stamp for his book. Suddenly, Oi told Naoto that she suspected someone had been watching Nawa for quite some time. That person approached Nawa and handed her a doll. Nawa's manager tried to accept it, but the person pushed him aside, insisting that the gift was meant only for Nawa. The unexpected situation caused Nawa and her manager to lose their balance and stumble. Later, while Nawa and her manager were in their room, Nana suddenly arrived and asked if Naoto was really there. It turned out that Naoto had lost consciousness during the earlier incident. Nawa quickly changed her outfit to prepare for her next activity, while her manager reminded her to be mindful of the situation. Nawa did not seem too concerned since Naoto was still unconscious. She wanted to finish her photo session quickly so she could proceed to the concert stage afterward. Her manager asked if she was sure about performing at the concert, but Nawa confidently stated that she would not let anything stop her from meeting her fans. When Naoto finally regained consciousness, he was surprised by the situation, but Nana asked him to stay quiet because Nawa and her manager were discussing something important. Her manager was clearly worried due to the earlier incident, but for Nawa, being a professional meant fulfilling her fans' expectations no matter the circumstances. Nana then asked if something had happened to Nawa. Her manager handed over a letter that had been found in Nawa's bag. Nawa assumed it was probably just a prank from an over-enthusiastic fan. Even if it was not, she insisted she would still go on stage and sing. Her manager excused himself to prepare for the photo session for a CD cover. Before leaving, Nawa left something for Naoto as a token of appreciation. It turned out to be the Edo Station stamp that she had already placed in Naoto's stamp book. Meanwhile, Nana instructed her team to scan and secure the concert area. They were told to check carefully for anything suspicious and remove anything that could pose a risk. Not long after, Nawa asked what Naoto and the others were doing there. seeing her dressed for the beach photo session. Naoto wondered if she planned to perform dressed like that. Nao explained that the concert would take place after the photo session, so she would keep wearing her beach outfit as a fun bonus for her fans. Since the concert was being held at the beach, her attire was considered appropriate. Nana agreed and instructed her team to dress accordingly for the setting. After that, Naoto and the others changed into their swimsuits. Aoi asked Nana whether she and Haruka felt nervous. Nana suggested that they should simply be confident and even complimented Oi's nice figure. Aoi felt shy because her swimsuit felt a bit too revealing. Nana commented that Aoi still looked cute in it. Aoi noticed that Haruka seemed very comfortable. Haruka acted casually, saying that the outfit did not feel much different from what she usually wore to sleep. Aoi was surprised to learn that Haruka often slept in very light clothing. Nana then helped choose a swimsuit for Haruka, and Haruka felt that it looked slightly too open for her taste. Nana encouraged them to take advantage of the moment and stand out so people would notice them. Nana playfully adjusted Haruka's outfit, and the commotion was loud enough to be heard by Naoto outside. At that time, the stage preparations were nearly finished. Naoto approached Sho, who was patrolling around the beach area. Naoto borrowed the binoculars Sho had been using for patrol. Suddenly, they heard Oi's voice and turned toward her direction. Naoto instinctively looked through the binoculars and noticed how striking Aoi appeared in her swimsuit, which surprised him. Not long after, Haruka walked over as well. Haruka's appearance stood out even more, and Naoto found himself staring in amazement. Aoi wondered why Naoto was looking at her that way, and Haruka asked whether something seemed strange about how she looked. Sho commented that their appearance was very eye-catching. According to Nana, that was actually a good thing because the beach was too large for them to monitor entirely, so standing out would help. If they openly made it clear that they were guarding Nao's concert, any troublemaker would think twice before acting. Nana had once used the same method with Captain Hitomi, and it had proven to be quite effective. While Nao was walking across the center of the stage, a large flame suddenly appeared for a brief moment and disappeared just as quickly. Seeing this, Naoto and the team immediately began investigating the stage area. There were no clear traces left behind, except for some magician's flash paper and confetti. Aoi carefully tested it, and the flame flared up briefly before fading away without causing any harm. Nana explained that the flash paper was commonly used by magicians and was not dangerous at all. She wondered why someone would do that and suspected it might be meant as a warning. Naoto worried that something more serious could happen during the event the next day. Aoi believed their task was simply to catch the culprit before the concert. Naoto, however, felt that it would not be that easy. Nao's manager suggested canceling the concert, but Nao firmly refused and said she would not back down. Nana thought it would be nearly impossible to stop the concert at that point and encouraged the team to work harder to find whoever was responsible. That night at the inn, Naoto admitted that he was still worried about Nao. He wondered why she refused to cancel the concert. Nao explained that she did not want to lose to whoever was trying to intimidate her. Naoto reminded her that her safety was very important. Nao replied that she might have misjudged Naoto before heading into the changing room. Naoto accidentally followed her inside, and Aoi quickly scolded him for entering a private area. In the confusion, Naoto noticed some personal belongings and soon felt a firm slap on his cheek. Afterward, Naoto and Sho stood guard near the bathing area, and Sho jokingly remarked on Naoto's reckless bravery for stepping into the women's space. Meanwhile, in the changing room, Nao wondered why Naoto had suggested that she step down from the stage. Haruka thought that Naoto had said that because he was genuinely worried about Nao's safety. Outside, Sho handed Naoto a box filled with medical supplies which Sho's father had recommended bringing along. Not long after, they heard Nao singing. Her voice sounded calm, beautiful, and soothing. Naoto found himself deeply impressed by how lovely her singing was. After she finished, Nao seemed to feel more at ease. She shared that when she first started singing on the streets, no one paid attention to her. However, because she never stopped singing, she was able to reach where she was now. That was why she had no intention of backing down, and no matter what happened, she would continue to sing. The next day, the concert finally arrived. A huge crowd filled the venue, with fans gathering from all over. As soon as Nao stepped onto the stage, the audience erupted with cheers, calling out to their idol. She performed with confidence, singing songs to entertain her fans. The crowd jumped and moved along to the music she delivered. Their loud cheers made Nao feel relieved, knowing that her performance truly brought them joy. Naoto and his team also enjoyed the show. After finishing another song, Nao greeted the audience and gave them a warm, sweet smile. Not long after, Nana, Nano, and a mascot came onto the stage and greeted her. It turned out that for that day, Nao had been appointed as the temporary captain of the JNR security unit, which was why she was wearing the security uniform. She had only just realized this and looked visibly embarrassed. Nana then started a casual talk about trains, since the event itself was meant to promote railway transportation. At the same time, Naoto noticed someone dressed in black standing behind the stage. He grew suspicious about what the person was doing and wondered whether he was really just part of the event staff. Naoto recalled that the only people who could have performed the tissue magic trick on stage the day before were event staff members. Trusting his instincts, Naoto quickly ran to secure Nawa before the person could get any closer. Nawa was surprised by the sudden situation. Nana calmly informed the audience that a suspicious individual had appeared and reassured them not to panic, explaining that the JNR security unit would protect Nawa. Iwi and Sho hurried over to assist Naoto in handling the situation. Nana intentionally kept her tone relaxed, so the crowd would stay calm. Nawa smoothly turned the incident into part of the staged security performance. As the temporary head of the JNR security unit, she acted as though she was directing her team to protect her from the intruder. The man grew frustrated when his actions were treated like part of the show and suddenly pulled out a knife, attempting to move toward Nawa. Naoto reacted immediately and stepped in to stop him. In the chaos, Naoto was struck, causing everyone to gasp in shock. Iwi quickly rushed in, knocked the attacker down, and restrained him. She was deeply worried about Naoto's condition. Despite the scare, Naoto managed to smile and commented on how much it hurt. He then reported to Captain Noah that their mission had been completed. The audience, thinking it was all part of the performance, cheered and praised how cool the act looked. The security team swiftly escorted the attacker backstage. Naoto felt relieved that the situation had finally been brought under control. After things settled down, Naoto explained to his friends that the impact he felt had been intense, but the stamp book inside his vest pocket had protected him from serious harm. Haruka reminded him not to act so recklessly in the future. Naoto apologized, while Nana actually praised the team for preventing panic among the crowd. Owi wondered why Naoto had not thought of another approach. He admitted that he had acted on instinct without thinking it through. Naoto expressed his gratitude because the stamp book given by Nawa had ended up protecting him. Hearing that made Nawa's face turn red. Later that afternoon, Nawa boarded the Odoriko train again. Her manager brought her dinner, and she thanked him politely. Throughout the evening, Nawa kept thinking about what Naoto had done for her that day. She realized that Naoto always worked hard for others, and she began to feel drawn to him. Hearing this, her manager asked who she was talking about. Nawa replied that she was talking about the Odoriko train, a nickname she used for Naoto. One day, Naoto was in his room, playing with his model train set. Running train simulations had become an important part of his daily routine. Not long after, the doorbell rang, followed by a knock on his bedroom door. Naoto assumed it was his mother, but it turned out to be Owi. She opened the door right away and was startled by the toy tracks spread out in front of him. The moving train bumped into Owi's chest and tipped over. Later that day, Naoto and Owi practiced shooting drills. Naoto wondered why they had to practice again. Owi emphasized that even a difference of a few millimeters in a confrontation could determine victory or defeat. Naoto questioned whether that meant Owi trained only to win. Owi remarked that Naoto's timid attitude had not changed. She intended to correct what she saw as his crooked mindset. During their practice, Naoto was repeatedly hit by Owi's shots. At one point, Owi managed to shoot him from above. She jokingly treated Naoto as if he were a suspect. Naoto did not understand why Owi referred to him that way. Owi believed Naoto had accidentally glanced in her direction earlier, which made her uncomfortable. She firmly stated that inappropriate behavior was a serious matter. When Owi jumped, Naoto's shot unintentionally hit her upper leg, which surprised and embarrassed her. Owi then fired several shots that struck Naoto across his body and head during the drill. In the locker room, Owi met Nana. Nana mentioned that Naoto had accompanied Owi during the morning practice. Owi replied that regular training was part of their duty as members of the security unit. Nana showed Owi the undergarments she was wearing and mentioned that she and Captain Hitomi had found a nice store and bought them there. Nana invited Owi to join them next time. Owi wondered why she had to train with Naoto, but Nana suggested that it was actually a good thing for her. At the office, Haruka noticed the marks on Naoto's face and asked what had happened. Naoto downplayed it, saying it was nothing serious. Haruka gently placed a bandage on his injury and carefully smoothed it into place before leaving to prepare some tea. Naoto was surprised to find Owi standing right next to him, peeking at his phone. Owi asked why he had been communicating with Marie. Naoto explained that his school would be holding a field trip the next day to welcome new students, and Marie had asked for his opinion. Owi thanked Naoto for accompanying her during the morning training session. Naoto and the others later discussed the Ashio Line, a railway route stretching from Kiryu in Gunma to the historic mining town of Ashio in Tochigi. For the future of JNR employees, there was a special passenger service from Mato to Ashio Hanzen, Normally, the route was used for freight. They also talked about the Ki-52, a symbol of JNR during Japan's rapid economic growth, known for its powerful dual engines that could handle mountains and hills with ease. Not long after, Nana arrived with new information. She reported that the suspect who had planned a bomb at Tokyo Station was believed to have an accomplice. Oe immediately showed enthusiasm and expressed her willingness to handle the suspect, confident in her ability to catch him. Nana explained that Captain Hitomi's division would take charge of the investigation. Naoto smiled when he heard this, but Oe appeared annoyed and stepped on his foot. Nana reminded them to carry out their duties as usual and to remain alert. That afternoon, Naoto asked Sho and Haruka to head out first because he needed to wait for Oe, who was still meeting with Nana. Naoto felt puzzled by Oe's unusually sharp attitude since the morning. Sho left right away. Before leaving, Haruka reminded Naoto that as the vice leader of the 4th Anti-Riot Division, it was his responsibility to pay attention to everyone. Soon after, Oe arrived to meet Naoto. He wondered why she had taken so long and suspected that Nana might have scolded her about the morning incident. Oe looked clearly frustrated because she had not been assigned to the investigation. She felt that as a female officer in the security unit, she was just as capable as any man, and she had always wanted to prove that. In her frustration, Oe swung her leg in a sudden kick. Unfortunately, the motion nearly hit a man who happened to be walking past. Both Oe and Naoto were startled, and Naoto quickly apologized to the man. The man left without saying much, but Oe seemed suspicious of him. She asked Naoto to follow the man discreetly. The man walked while occasionally glancing back. Naoto was confused about what Oe was doing. Oe explained that the man was likely the accomplice of the bombing suspect. She believed he matched the photo Nana had shown earlier that morning. Naoto could hardly believe it, but Oe was completely convinced that the man was indeed connected to the case. She believed he had been observing the security unit's office at that moment. At the same time, Sho and Haruka noticed Naoto and Oe rushing into a train car that was about to depart. The train soon began moving and would pass through the Takasaki line shortly. A man suspected to be connected to the bombing case was on that train, while Naoto and Oe kept watch from the adjacent car. When the man walked closer, they quickly stepped into the restroom to avoid being seen. Naoto suggested they turn back because the situation felt increasingly dangerous, but Oe believed that if they could catch the suspect, everything would turn out fine. Naoto disagreed and wanted to contact Nana, but Oe was determined to continue no matter what. The cramped space forced them to stand very close together. Naoto accidentally noticed that Oe's skirt had shifted slightly. Oe casually explained that she had removed her shorts earlier because they had gotten dirty during shooting practice that morning. A moment later, Naoto's phone vibrated. It was a message from Marie confirming their meeting time for the next day. Once they felt it was safe, Oe stepped out of the restroom and reminded Naoto not to let hesitation slow her down. Naoto then called Nana and informed her that he and Oe were heading toward Maebashi via the Ryomo line. He also mentioned that Oe had spotted a man who resembled the person in the photo. Naoto expressed his trust in Oe's judgment. Nana allowed them to follow the suspect, but said that any attempt to detain him would be handled by Captain Hitomi's division, which she would dispatch to their location. After the call, Oe asked what Nana had said. Naoto explained that they were permitted to follow the man. Oe waited for the right moment to make a move, but Naoto reminded her that their assignment was only to observe and wait for backup. Oe took out her firearm and stated that the two of them were capable enough to handle the situation. Naoto was surprised by her determination. Naoto contacted Nana again to confirm whether it was truly acceptable for Oe to carry a firearm. Nana explained that Oe had insisted earlier that facing a bombing suspect without protection would be too risky. Nana trusted Naoto to make the right decision and believed he would not let Oe act alone. Oe asked when backup would arrive. Naoto suddenly said that he would trust Oe's judgment, which caused her cheeks to flush slightly with embarrassment. As passengers gradually got off the train, Oe realized she could not keep tailing the man for long. Meanwhile, Naoto felt a quiet sadness as he glanced at the Kiha-40 train, wishing he could enjoy the moment under different circumstances. The train passed through mountainous terrain, and Oe was surprised that rail lines extended so deep into the mountains. Naoto explained that railway tracks in Japan connected even the most remote areas. When the train braked suddenly, Oe lost her balance, but Naoto caught her just in time. She quickly tried to steady herself, but stumbled again, and Naoto caught her once more. The suspect realized he was being followed. He hurried out of the car and ran. Oe chased after him with all her strength. The man jumped down onto the tracks, and Naoto tried to intercept him from the opposite direction. The suspect managed to shove Naoto aside and avoid Oe's pursuit. Oe prepared to use her firearm, but Naoto stopped her. She handed the pistol to Naoto. saying she no longer needed it, and continued running. Naoto called Naona to report that they had been discovered and that the suspect was fleeing. He tried contacting Aoi, but there was no signal. He suspected that she had chased the man deep into the mountain area. Meanwhile, Aoi reached an old building and wondered why Naoto had not caught up with her. She entered and found herself near another railway line, realizing once again how the tracks connected everywhere. She thought that if she waited there, Naoto would eventually find her. Not long after, Naoto arrived riding a rail car and called out to her. They boarded a freight train together. Aoi asked why it had taken him so long to reach her. Naoto felt deeply relieved to see that she was safe. They later stopped at a house. Naoto explained that local security personnel would continue the search, and that they would return to Tokyo the next morning. Aoi objected because she still wanted to catch the suspect herself. Naoto reminded her that it was not their assignment to make the arrest and reassured her that the regional security team would handle it. Seeing that Aoi's clothes were soaked, Naoto offered her his uniform to help her warm up. At first she refused, but after she began sneezing from the cold, she finally accepted it. Aoi quickly put on Naoto's clothes. She said the outfit felt oversized on her, but Naoto casually pointed out that it only looked that way because her figure was slim. He wondered why she had acted so recklessly earlier. Aoi brushed it off and said she had simply been trying to take things more seriously. She also mentioned that her father was a police officer. Naoto then realized that this was the reason she handled firearms so calmly. Her father had always hoped she would follow in his footsteps, so he had trained her in self-defense, marksmanship, and other practical skills from a young age. Aoi removed her skirt and apologized for causing trouble, and for making Naoto miss the field trip. Naoto was surprised to hear her speak so sincerely. She turned around and emphasized that she was capable of admitting her mistakes. Naoto quickly reminded her that she was not wearing anything underneath, which made Aoi feel very embarrassed when she realized he had noticed. The next morning, Aoi woke up and spotted a man she suspected. She immediately ran after him, and Naoto asked if she was certain he was the culprit. The man kept running but suddenly threw his bag toward Aoi. Realizing that the bag contained a bomb, Aoi stepped back and shielded Naoto. The explosion followed and flames spread across the railway tracks. At that moment, a train carriage was approaching their direction. Naoto grew worried after seeing that the tracks had been damaged by the blast. Aoi had injured her arm but ignored the pain because she wanted to chase the suspect. Naoto stopped her and insisted that their priority had to be safety rather than pursuing the culprit. He came up with an idea to cut the earthquake detection cable. If the cable were severed, the alarm system would activate, alerting the train operator that there was danger ahead. This, he hoped, would stop the approaching train in time. Soon, the sound of the train grew louder, and they knew they had to act quickly. Aoi said she would shoot the cable. Naoto hesitated at first, but Aoi asked him to trust her. He handed her the pistol, and she searched for a stable position to take the shot. Because her hands were shaking, she asked Naoto to crouch in front of her so she could steady herself by leaning on him. With his support, Aoi successfully shot the cable. The alarm rang out, and the train came to a stop right in front of them. Both of them felt immense relief, hardly believing that the train had actually stopped in time. Aoi looked exhausted and asked Naoto to remain where he was for a moment longer. After returning to the office, Naoto and Aoi apologized for the chaos that had occurred. Naona informed them that the regional security unit had already apprehended the suspect. She explained that while their actions were not exactly something to be praised, their quick thinking had helped prevent what could have been a major accident. Naona still acknowledged their hard work. Naoto reached out to steady Aoi, but she reacted by pushing him away with her foot. Naona reminded them that they were not police officers but railway security staff, employees of JNR whose main responsibility was to prioritize passenger safety. Naona was confident that Aoi now understood why she had chosen Naoto as her partner. Aoi commented that she wanted to train Naoto so he would not seem timid. Haruka disagreed and said that Naoto was not timid at all, but simply too kind. Aoi argued that his gentleness made him appear timid because he was often spoiled by the girls around him, and she pointed out that Haruka tended to pamper him too much. Haruka responded by saying that Aoi was the one who was overly strict. Naoto felt overwhelmed listening to their argument. That day, Naoto was in his room playing with his miniature train set together with Marie. He had come to realize that getting involved with Aoi had been risky, and he felt relieved that their actions had been forgiven, although they were placed under house arrest as a condition. Naoto had no idea what would happen next. According to Marie, thanks to Naoto and Aoi, the Kiha 52 train had avoided an accident. Marie also expressed regret that Naoto had missed their school field trip. Naoto was startled when Marie suddenly moved closer to him, nearly causing his miniature train to fall. Fortunately, Marie caught it just in time. She reminded him to always prioritize safety. Before she left, Naoto promised that he would repay the cost of the field trip. However, for Marie, what mattered most was that Naoto was safe, and she told him there was no need to pay her back. Not long after, Naoto found a letter in his mailbox. Meanwhile, Haruka was exercising at the gym. After finishing her workout and cleaning herself up, she reflected on how it seemed unlikely that she could be with Naoto. Even so, she promised herself that she would try and fight harder than before. Suddenly, Nana appeared and noticed Haruka while she was changing clothes. Haruka apologized, remembering that she was supposed to be under house arrest, yet she had gone to the gym anyway. Nana mentioned that, as a division chief, she was also under the same restriction, so slipping out quietly was not a big deal. Nana teased Haruka about her determination to try harder for Naoto. Haruka blushed and clarified that she would work harder for Division 4. Later that day, Naoto was at the station and tried calling Aoi, but she did not answer. He then called Haruka and asked to meet her. At the same time, Aoi checked her phone and noticed the missed call from Naoto. She wondered why he had tried to contact her and considered whether she should call him back. At that moment, she saw Haruka hurrying somewhere, as if rushing to meet someone. Not long after, Naoto approached Haruka. She quietly suggested that they find another place to talk since they were still under house arrest. After finding a quiet and relatively safe spot, Haruka asked what Naoto wanted to discuss. Naoto showed her the letter he had received in his mailbox. At first, he had thought it was just a prank, but now he was not so sure. Haruka suggested that the person responsible for the incident on the Ashio line might have an accomplice. Naoto found that hard to believe. Suddenly, the JNR mascot named Subatetsu approached Naoto and invited him to try the 25,000 kilometers challenge. Naoto then led Haruka toward a more secluded place. He ran while holding Haruka's hand tightly, which reminded her of how her grandfather used to hold her hand when she was younger. After running for a while, Naoto let go because he was out of breath. He mentioned that the place they had stopped at seemed safe enough. Naoto reasoned that if the accomplice from the Ashio line incident was targeting him, then Aoi might also be involved somehow. Haruka then tried to contact Aoi. Aoi answered Haruka's call, but a strong gust of wind startled her and caused her phone to slip from her hand and fall. This made Haruka assume that Aoi might be in trouble. Haruka urged Naoto to go with her. She asked him not to draw attention to himself since he might be a target. Naoto wished that Sho were there to help, as he usually did. At that moment, they noticed a broadcast showing Sho participating in a curry eating contest. Seeing this made Naoto wonder whether Sho even understood what being under house arrest was supposed to mean. Around that time, Aoi had just stepped out of a repair shop after getting her phone fixed from the fall. She was surprised to see Naoto and Haruka standing very close to each other and holding hands. She wondered why the two of them were together like that and whether they also understood what being under house arrest meant. Aoi recalled Haruka's earlier objection when Aoi had called Naoto timid. In her frustration, Aoi began to think poorly of Naoto's behavior. Overcome with emotion, Aoi reached for the small device she carried for protection. Before anything further could happen, Subatetsu suddenly bumped into her. The sudden collision caused the device to misfire, and an object nearby Haruka and Naoto was struck instead. Both of them were startled by the unexpected impact. Haruka became convinced that the incident might be connected to the mysterious threat they had been worrying about. Haruka and Naoto ran as fast as they could to get away. Aoi felt irritated with Subatetsu for causing her shot to miss, so she immediately went after them. In her rush, she crossed the street carelessly and was warned by a police officer. Aoi kept running to avoid the officer's pursuit, confused about why she was suddenly being chased. At the same time, Haruka and Naoto sensed that someone was following them. They quickened their pace and headed toward what they hoped would be a safer area. The officer continued calling out for Aoi to stop, but she refused and kept moving. Haruka and Naoto fled until they reached a fence and climbed over it. When Naoto jumped down, he lost his balance and accidentally bumped into Haruka. Both of them fell onto a pile of cardboard boxes filled with canned fish. Haruka checked to make sure Naoto was okay and guessed that they were no longer being chased. She suggested contacting Nana for help. Naoto quickly tried to call Nana, but her phone could not be reached. Suddenly, a flower pot fell in front of them, startling them both. Naoto wondered how the pursuers could have figured out their location. Haruka suspected that their phone might have been tracked and told Naoto to throw it away immediately. After that, they left the area. It later turned out that the pot had simply been knocked over by a cat. Meanwhile, Nana had just started charging her phone at a cafe while sitting with Captain Hitomi. Captain Hitomi commented that Nana could be careless, since her phone being off might cause her to miss an emergency call. Nana did not seem too concerned because her subordinates were currently under house arrest. She thanked Captain Hitomi for helping her charge the phone. Elsewhere, Haruka and Naoto were exhausted from running. Naoto apologized, believing that the situation was his fault. Haruka handed him a handkerchief, which he used to wipe the sweat from his face. Haruka admitted that she was glad she could help him. Suddenly, a group of cats surrounded them. Seeing this, Haruka and Naoto ran again as the cats continued to chase them. One cat jumped down from a rooftop and blocked their path. Haruka quickly stepped forward to shield Naoto. Naoto fell onto the pavement while Haruka stood her ground. Haruka began to suspect that the cats had somehow been trained to pursue them. One of the cats leaped onto Haruka's back. She guessed that the cats were tracking them by scent, so she quickly took off her jacket and tossed it aside. As expected, the cats immediately crowded around the jacket. Naoto could hardly believe what he was seeing. At the same time, Oi felt relieved after escaping from the police earlier. She climbed down from a fence and noticed a cat along with several scattered cans of fish. She assumed the cat had made the mess. Not far from there, she found Naoto's discarded phone. Haruka and Naoto kept running until they reached a building. Meanwhile, Oi discovered Haruka's discarded clothing near the cluster of cats. At the same time, Haruka and Naoto were still hurrying along when Haruka's skirt snagged again and tore further. Naoto grew flustered, worried that Haruka would have difficulty moving around in that condition. Haruka did not seem too concerned. A cat suddenly approached her leg, prompting Naoto to urge her to keep moving. Before long, they arrived at the Transportation Museum, which was closed at the time. Haruka wondered whether it would be alright for them to go inside. Naoto believed that their actions would be understood given the emergency they were facing. He asked whether Haruka had ever visited the Transportation Museum before, and she nodded with a small smile. Naoto then guided her up the stairs. Unexpectedly, the group of cats began approaching Haruka again. Haruka asked Naoto to turn around and not look in her direction. She then tossed another piece of clothing away from them, distracting the cats. Haruka and Naoto entered the room and wondered why the door had been left open so easily. Naoto felt that something was off. Haruka speculated that the cat chase might have been a distraction, and that the real goal was to lead Naoto into that room. Naoto felt that Haruka might be overthinking the situation. Haruka held Naoto's hand tightly, clearly worried about him. Their eyes met briefly, and both of them felt awkward. After noticing a pamphlet on the wall, Naoto found himself reminiscing about the Kodama restaurant located on the 4th floor of the Transportation Museum. The restaurant was designed to resemble the dining car from the Series 151 Kodama Express train, built during the early golden era of JNR. Even though the menu had never particularly impressed him, Naoto had always felt happy whenever his parents took him there. Meanwhile, Oi was being scolded by Captain Hitomi and Nana for wandering around while she was supposed to be under house arrest. Captain Hitomi blamed Nana for not setting a good example as the head of the division. Nana defended herself by saying that she had only gone out because Captain Hitomi could not shop on her own. Not long after, Captain Hitomi received a call from headquarters. At that moment, Nana noticed that the clothes Oi was carrying seemed to belong to Haruka. Captain Hitomi informed them that someone had triggered the alarm at the Transportation Museum. Oi became excited when she heard about the incident and eagerly offered to help. Captain Hitomi questioned whether Oi truly understood what house arrest meant. At the same time, Naoto and Haruka were walking through the Transportation Museum. He mentioned that on the 3rd floor there was a theater hall that showcased various transportation services. They then headed to the souvenir shop area. Naoto pointed out what he considered the most fascinating exhibit, the JNR Class C-57 steam locomotive, famously nicknamed Kifujin, or the Old Lady. Naoto was clearly thrilled as he walked around the exhibit, while Haruka tugged on his shirt and suggested that they should not get separated. Naoto realized that he had gotten overly excited and was acting like a child. Suddenly, Haruka moved closer and asked whether Naoto remembered something that had happened 8 years, 3 months, and 15 days ago. Naoto did not understand what she meant. At that moment, 2 masked men appeared and confronted them. Meanwhile, Oi, Nana, and Captain Hitomi arrived in front of the museum. Oi commented that Naoto probably liked places like that. Nana was certain that Oi had never been to the Transportation Museum before. They then noticed a cat and a torn skirt that belonged to Haruka. They wondered why they kept finding Haruka's clothing again. Oi became convinced that Haruka must be nearby. At the same time, the 2 masked men continued chasing Naoto and Haruka. Haruka was almost caught, but Naoto quickly pulled her away to safety. The 2 of them ran as fast as they could, and fortunately, Oi and the others spotted them. Captain Hitomi was certain that the masked men were responsible for the disturbance. She immediately ordered Oi and Nana to chase them. Naoto found a room and brought Haruka inside with him. To his surprise, he realized that Haruka was in a state that made her feel extremely embarrassed. Haruka asked Naoto not to look at her. Naoto guided Haruka into the room and prepared to face the criminals outside. Haruka tried to get out of the room, but the door had been locked. Naoto apologized because Haruka had been dragged into the situation because of him. Haruka admitted that she would do anything for Naoto. Naoto did not want Haruka to end up resenting JNR because of this incident. He was confident that he could resolve the situation without depending on anyone else. The masked criminals prepared to attack Naoto, but suddenly Oi appeared and swiftly subdued them. Captain Hitomi and Nana joined in to help restrain the criminals. Naoto was surprised to see them arrive. Oi then struck Naoto, thinking that he was the one responsible for the trouble. The others were confused as to why Oi had hit Naoto. At that moment, Haruka felt that the situation reminded her of what had happened when she first met Naoto years ago. When she was a child, she had once been trapped inside a dark room. She had cried in fear and hoped that someone would come to help her. Back then, Naoto had arrived and rescued her. Now the same thing seemed to be happening again. Naoto once again opened the door to a dark and frightening room and helped her out. Haruka immediately hugged Naoto and cried, feeling grateful that he had saved her once again. Oi scolded Naoto and questioned what he had done that led to Haruka being in such an uncomfortable situation. Naoto explained that Oi had misunderstood him. He tried to explain about a troublesome cat, but Oi did not seem convinced. Naoto also talked about a threatening letter he had found in his home mailbox. The letter had sounded alarming, but it had actually turned out to be a life insurance advertisement from JNR. Naoto mentioned his curiosity about a supposed sniper who had nearly hit him. Hearing this, Oi realized that it had actually been her own misunderstanding. Captain Hitomi remained convinced that Naoto and the others often caused unnecessary trouble. Nana felt that Haruka must have had a very exhausting day. Haruka remembered Naoto's words asking her not to hate JNR because of what had happened. She smiled and said that her feelings were still the same as they had been before. That day, Naoto and the others were scheduled to attend retraining at the training center in Karuizawa. Nana explained that they would be joining an advanced course for the JNR security unit. Oi was very excited and wondered if that meant she might be assigned directly to real incident sites during important situations. Nana added that they would also receive driving training there. Hearing this made Naoto even more enthusiastic, especially after Nana mentioned that the facility had an EF-63 electric locomotive. He could hardly wait to leave. Sho, on the other hand, simply hoped there would be plenty of good food. Nana mentioned that the boxed rice meal sold at Yokogawa Station was especially delicious, which made Sho even more excited. Nana then asked whether Haruka would be joining them. Haruka accidentally revealed that she would go as long as Naoto went too. Seeing how motivated everyone was made Nana smile happily. The four of them departed for the location that same day. Naoto was thrilled as they passed through the steepest slope on the JNR line, while Sho stayed busy eating snacks. Naoto's overly loud behavior began to irritate Oi. When they arrived at the facility near the station, they were greeted by the training supervisor, Tetsuya. Tetsuya had already heard from Captain Hitomi that their attitudes needed improvement. The training began with running laps around the field, leaving Haruka and Naoto visibly exhausted. Afterward, they headed to the cafeteria for lunch. Naoto admitted that their previous training felt insignificant compared to this one. Oi teased Naoto for being timid, and she was surprised to see Haruka gently offering him tea. Sho suggested that eating a lot would help restore their energy. He quickly called the server over to place an order, and to their surprise, the server turned out to be Marie. Marie approached them and asked if they were also attending the training there. She did not expect to meet them again. Seeing Marie, Haruka instinctively moved closer to Naoto. Oi joked that Naoto was lucky to be surrounded by so many beautiful girls. Naoto wondered aloud whether that included Oi as well. Oi then spilled her drink toward him. Although she claimed it was an accident, Naoto was convinced it was intentional. Marie promptly cleaned the table. When Sho asked about the menu, Marie explained that the day's special was beef curry. Sho immediately ordered 3 large portions for himself. Oi, Haruka, and Naoto also ordered the same dish. Soon after, Marie served the food, and Sho began eating with great enthusiasm. Oi noticed that only Naoto's plate came with red pickles. Naoto explained that it was because he disliked green onions. Haruka realized that Marie seemed to know Naoto's preferences quite well. Unexpectedly, Oi grabbed the red pickles from Naoto's plate and ate them herself. After lunch, they moved on to target practice. Tetsuya praised Oi's accuracy, noting that her shots were extremely precise. Oi commented that she felt more effective using that pistol compared to a revolver. Tetsuya appreciated her confidence. Meanwhile, Naoto's shots repeatedly missed the target. Tetsuya described them as warning shots and asked Oi to guide Naoto on proper technique. Naoto apologized to Oi, She felt that his lack of skill would slow her down since they were expected to become partners in the train security unit. In her view, participating in this advanced training meant they were almost guaranteed positions in the unit, and they might even be assigned to the same division. Aoi then carefully held Naoto's hands and guided his aim toward the correct position. Once training was finished, they headed to the bath area. Since there was only one bath, they needed to decide who would go first. Naoto suggested that the boys use it first until 8 o'clock, followed by the girls. However, Shu preferred to eat before bathing, as he was already hungry again and quickly went off to find more food. Aoi was surprised, considering how much Sho had eaten since morning, yet he was still hungry. Haruka thought it was because Sho had done a lot of physical activity and needed extra energy. Aoi agreed and pointed out that Sho never wasted his movements during training. She felt that Naoto should learn from Sho, especially in maintaining his stamina. Aoi even offered to help Naoto practice being more disciplined, saying she wanted to improve their teamwork. Naoto admitted that he was not actually interested in joining the security unit because he strongly wanted to become a train driver. Hearing this surprised both Haruka and Aoi. Aoi wondered why he had joined the training if he had no intention of entering the unit with them. Naoto explained that he only joined because he had heard they would be allowed to operate the EF-63 locomotive. Aoi questioned why he had not said that earlier when she was helping him during practice. Naoto mentioned that Aoi had looked very happy while teaching him. Embarrassed by the comment, Aoi blushed, scolded him briefly, and walked away. That night, Naoto soaked in warm water, confused by Aoi's attitude. All he had ever wanted was to become a train driver like the person who once saved him when he had collapsed from severe stomach pain long ago. All lost in thought, Naoto's body went limp, and he lost consciousness in the bath. Haruka quickly helped him and tried to wake him up. She repeatedly called out to Aoi for assistance. When Naoto finally opened his eyes, he saw Haruka and momentarily mistook her for Aoi. Aoi arrived shortly after and was surprised to find Naoto there. Haruka explained that Naoto had nearly drowned in the bath. Aoi struggled to process what had happened and was about to call for help when Naoto suddenly called her name. Haruka sensed that Naoto might still be disoriented, as he seemed to think she was Aoi. Naoto asked Aoi to listen to him. He explained that his dream of becoming a train driver came from being inspired by someone from his childhood. He shared that he had once fainted at a remote mountain station and was rescued by a train driver passing through. If that driver had not noticed his condition, he might not have survived. Since then, Naoto had wanted to become a driver who always put human lives above everything else. Haruka felt certain that Aoi would understand his feelings. The next day, Naoto apologized to Haruka for the embarrassing situation. Haruka claimed she had not seen anything. Naoto asked whether he had said anything strange while unconscious, and Haruka brushed it off. The Osui Pass, stretching between Yokokawa and Karuizawa, was known as the most dangerous route among all JNR railway lines. When it was first built, the track used a rack and pinion system based on the AT system. A gear rail ran between the tracks, connecting with the locomotive's gear mechanism, though this system only existed on the old line. The gradient reached 66.77 per mil, meaning the elevation rose 66 meters for every kilometer. Even for trains, this was considered an extraordinary incline. For that day's special training, they would operate a helper locomotive. Naoto was thrilled to hear this. They were assigned to operate the ED-421. The Hakusen Express consisted of 3 electric locomotives followed by 8 passenger cars and an additional carriage. Tetsuya reminded them not to lose focus. He asked them to decide who would be stationed in the rear carriage. Aoi immediately volunteered for the position. However, Naoto warned that the rear position was the most difficult, as it required synchronizing timing and whistle signals before movement began. Aoi believed she only needed to adjust her position accordingly. Naoto found her attitude puzzling. Once inside the control room, Naoto prepared to demonstrate his skills. The train began moving, and Naoto looked genuinely happy. Before long, they approached a steep section, and he sounded the whistle. He was confused when he heard an irregular response and wondered if Aoi would be alright. The train sped through a tunnel. Naoto prepared to apply dynamic braking when a sudden jolt occurred. Soon after, someone contacted Naoto to ask about braking procedures. Naoto asked Shu to read the operating manual. Not long after, Haruka contacted him and reported that Aoi kept pushing from the rear. Naoto sent a signal to Aoi and she responded. Naoto began to suspect that Aoi might not be taking the situation seriously. He signaled for her to apply the brakes. It seemed Aoi misunderstood the signal. If it continued like that, the train's speed would keep increasing. If Naoto increased braking force from his end, the couplings between the carriages could detach and cause the train to derail. Haruka and Sho informed Naoto that the train speed was rising rapidly. Naoto had to find a way to solve the problem, because failure to do so could have serious consequences. He did not know what to do, but he believed that taking action was better than giving up. Naoto tried to apply the brakes as hard as possible in an attempt to stop the train, but the carriages ended up derailing. After the exercise, Tetsuya revealed that it had been a highly realistic JNMR virtual simulation, and the results had been very poor. He asked Naoto to reflect on the most important responsibility of a JNR employee, as what had just happened could have led to a real accident. That afternoon, Marie poured tea for Naoto. He had started to realize that he might not be suited to being part of the security unit, especially not as the deputy division leader. Marie offered to keep him company after he finished his work. That night, they played cards in the room. Naoto asked what Marie had wanted to talk to him about. Marie told him that he actually looked good in the security unit uniform, but at the moment he did not seem confident, which made him appear less impressive. She reminded him that all the members of K4 were kind people and that he should trust himself more. Naoto felt relieved and happy because Marie understood how he felt. He appreciated how supportive she was. Not long after, Haruka came by and informed them that there would be no training the next day, and she felt that they would not make any progress if things continued the same way. Marie then suggested that they take the opportunity to go out and explore the town while they were still in Karuizawa. She thought it would be nice for everyone to relax and walk around the city. Haruka agreed and wanted to invite Sho and Oi as well. She asked Naoto to invite Oi. That night, Naoto planned to send Oi a message to invite her along, but he hesitated, feeling unsure if it would make any difference. Then he noticed a small piece of paper attached to the door of his lodging room with an apology written on it. He became certain that the note was from Oi. Feeling encouraged, he immediately sent her the message. The next day, Naoto and the others gathered. Haruka mentioned that she had just bought clothes nearby because she had not brought enough preparation. Naoto told her that the outfit suited her well. Sho wondered why he had not noticed any good restaurants around the area. Haruka mentioned that there was a nice Italian restaurant nearby, and Sho quickly agreed that they should go there. Marie then asked whether Naoto had anything to say about her appearance. Naoto responded that whatever she wore always made her look sweet. Marie felt that his comment was not quite the compliment she had hoped for. Haruka asked about Oi, and Naoto explained that he had already invited her. Marie quietly hoped that Naoto and Oi would make up soon. A little while later, Naona called Naoto and asked whether he and the others were enjoying their vacation. She apologized for interrupting but said she needed his help. There was someone who insisted on being picked up specifically by him. Naoto informed Haruka and the others that he had to leave because he had an assignment to handle. Haruka offered to come along, but Naoto refused and said he would catch up with them after finishing his task. He also said that if Oi contacted him, he would ask her to meet the group directly. Naoto then ran toward the church to pick up the person. On the way, Oi informed him that she had already arrived at Karuizawa Station. He quickly replied and kept running. When he arrived at the church, he did not find anyone there. To his surprise, Oi suddenly appeared and called out to him. She approached him, and Naoto noticed how different her appearance was from what he was used to seeing. Oi wondered why Naoto had asked her to meet at the church. Naoto himself did not understand what was happening. Suddenly, Haruka showed up as well. Her expression looked deeply hurt. She had intended to help Naoto, but instead she found him together with Oi at the church. From her perspective, it seemed as if Naoto had not been honest with her. Haruka became emotional and felt disappointed by what she saw. Oi, confused by the situation, wondered whether Naoto had also been dishonest with her. Not long after, Naoto came out from inside the church. She had assumed that only she and Naoto would be there, and she was surprised to see both Haruka and Oi present. The situation left Naoto completely overwhelmed, unable to explain the misunderstanding that had unfolded in front of him. One stormy night, heavy rain and strong winds swept through Karuizawa. Naoto was together with Haruka, Oi, and Nawa. He needed to clear up a misunderstanding involving himself and the three girls. Naoto explained that his true dream was to become a train driver. Nawa thought that dream sounded wonderful, saying that one day she hoped to ride a train operated by him. Out of nowhere, Nawa mentioned that she had once experienced something similar, where she had dressed up beautifully but ended up not being the main focus, which left her in a sour mood. Oi felt indirectly criticized and asked Nawa not to misunderstand her. Nawa then sat beside Naoto and held his hand tightly, saying that she did not really mind any of it. Haruka stood up, clearly annoyed, but after Nawa looked at her, she quietly sat back down. Nawa remarked that she had every right to fall in love with anyone she chose. Naoto felt slightly uncomfortable with how Nawa behaved toward him. Not long after, Sho and Marie arrived carrying warm drinks. Naoto thanked Marie sincerely and handed one of the drinks to Nawa. Marie greeted Nawa kindly. Nawa looked irritated, but Naoto quickly explained that he had asked Marie earlier to bring the warm drinks. Nawa commented that Naoto seemed to enjoy playing with girls' feelings. She added that she did not mind, since she did not dislike a little competition. Soon after, Naoto excused herself because she had to attend a rehearsal. Before leaving, she thanked Marie for the drink. Suddenly, Tetsuya called Naoto with urgent news about a landslide in Kumonotera. They were asked to head to the location because the Shinshu Express had been halted in Yagasaki, and passengers needed assistance disembarking safely. Naoto quickly said goodbye to Nawa and Marie, as he and his team had to leave immediately. Nawa said she really wanted to see Naoto wearing a train driver's uniform, though she admitted he already looked impressive standing at attention. Naoto's face turned red from embarrassment. That same night, Naoto and his team rushed to the site to help the passengers. Haruka handed out raincoats, while Sho and Iwi carried passengers who were unable to walk. After finishing their task, they reported back to Tetsuya. He offered them warm drinks he had prepared. They drank gratefully, though Iwi looked puzzled. Naoto told her to drink it while it was still warm, and she commented that it tasted rather bitter. At the same time, a woman approached a JNR officer named Junichi, urging him to get the train moving immediately. Junichi explained that it was impossible. Shortly after, Tetsuya came over. The woman insisted that the train had to operate right away. Junichi calmly explained that clearing the tracks would take at least 4 hours, including inspection time. The woman said that if she could not send what she was carrying immediately, someone's life would be at risk. Soon, the head of the security unit arrived and asked the woman to explain the situation. Her name was Tomomi, and she worked in Japan's organ transport division. She had originally been transporting the organ by car, but the highway had been closed, forcing her to switch to the train. Unfortunately, she ran into the same problem again. Junichi explained that rail services were suspended because both the Shinetsu main line and the Hokuriku bullet train line were closed due to the landslide. The organ Tomomi carried could not last long, and it had to reach its destination within 2 hours. Junichi said there was no remaining option, but Tomomi continued pleading. Haruka even offered to personally deliver the organ on foot, believing that if they left immediately, they might reach Yokogawa within 2 hours. Oe advised Haruka to calm down, pointing out that there was no guarantee they could make it to Yokogawa in time, especially since Mabashi was still far away. Haruka insisted on trying. She believed that if the transplant surgery could be performed, one life would be saved. She felt that this must have been the donor's hope as well. Haruka refused to give up just because of the rain. Suddenly, Naoto suggested that they might be able to reach Yokogawa faster. Since the landslide had occurred in Kumonotera, the old railway line might still be usable. Although its condition had not been recently confirmed, and it was not carefully maintained, it did not appear to be completely abandoned. Junichi added that during the last spring inspection, they had not found any damaged sections there. Hearing this, Naoto proposed that they take that route, as it could at least shorten the journey. He volunteered to go with Haruka to deliver the organ. Sho commented that running through the rain would drain their stamina, making it impossible for them to succeed without his help. Oe added that increasing the team to 4 people would raise their chances of success. Naoto felt relieved hearing that. The head of the security unit remarked that the K4 division was truly impressive that day. He then ordered Junichi to lend them a motor trolley to support their mission. That night, the rain was still pouring heavily. They were lent an ED-42 motor trolley, commonly called an AT trolley. Oe wondered whether such a small rail vehicle would really be useful. It turned out that the trolley had been designed to be operated by 4 people, but unfortunately only one of its systems was still fully functional. The trolley was equipped with a battery and front and rear wheels supported by electric motors, which were supposed to assist especially on downhill tracks. At the back, there was also an electric discharge unit for dynamic braking that used high-precision resistors. Junichi handed them a very thick instruction manual, and Haruka volunteered to study it. Together, they pushed the motor trolley onto the track. Tomomi was hoping desperately that they would succeed in delivering the organ to her colleague at Yokogawa Station. Tetsuya had already informed the staff at the next station that due to the emergency, Naoto would be allowed to ignore signal regulations. After Haruka finished reading the manual, they prepared to depart. Naoto was entrusted with the role of driver, which surprised him. Oe reminded him that becoming a driver had always been his dream. As the vice president of the student council, Naoto was asked to give instructions to the team. He confidently began assigning roles. Haruka was tasked with assisting in operating the trolley. Sho was assigned to handle the pedaling system, and Oe was told to stay alert for any emergency situations. Before departure, Junichi warned them that because the trolley was rarely used, there was a chance the battery might be dead. Haruka explained that according to the manual, the electric motor did not only support movement, but could also recharge the battery. By pedaling, the system would activate and begin charging. Sho immediately started pedaling, but he quickly realized how heavy it felt. The trolley was simply too heavy for one person to power alone. Junichi suggested replacing the battery, but they were running out of time. Aoi adjusted her clothing so she could move more freely. She moved to check the wheels and began pushing from the side, asking Sho to give it all his strength while pedaling. Junichi, the supervisor, and Tetsuya rushed in to help push as well. Naoto wanted to help, but Tetsuya told him to stay focused on his role as driver. Aoi asked Naoto to give a signal. As soon as he did, everyone pushed from behind while Sho pedaled with all his strength. The electrical current rose and the trolley's wheels finally began to move forward. Tetsuya urged Aoi to climb aboard quickly. Naoto reached out his hand to help her up. Tetsuya placed his trust in them and hoped for their success. The motor trolley sped along the track, cutting through the heavy rain. When they encountered a red signal, Naoto pushed through it, remembering Tetsuya's instruction that they were allowed to ignore all signals during the emergency. Even so, passing a red signal was something that went against a driver's instincts. They soon reached a downhill section, and their speed began to increase rapidly. Naoto told Sho to stop pedaling, but Sho could barely hear him over the noise and rain until Aoi and Naoto both shouted for him to stop. Even after Sho stopped, their speed remained dangerously high. Haruka informed Naoto that a lever beside the driver's position functioned as the rear brake. Naoto pulled the lever as hard as he could, but the trolley still did not slow down. At that moment, they were inside Tunnel 9, the longest tunnel in the Osui Pass. They would pass through 16 tunnels along the route. The section from the Kumonotera station signal to this point was wide and well maintained, but beyond that lay older tracks built during the Meiji era. Haruka reminded everyone to be extra careful. The trolley began to sway, causing Haruka to stumble into Naoto. She quickly apologized while trying to regain her balance. The floor of the trolley started to tilt slightly, and if left unchecked, they could lose control and overturn. Naoto asked Sho to shift his weight to stabilize it. Sho hurried to the opposite side to help rebalance the trolley as they continued racing through the tunnel. At that moment, the motor trolley became stable again. Naoto felt they needed to reduce the speed before the situation grew more dangerous. Haruka asked Aoi to use the high-precision resistor. Aoi pulled it firmly, revealing that the high-precision resistor functioned as the trolley's dynamic brake. However, it seemed useless at first, because the speed did not change at all. Haruka explained that the high-precision resistor needed time before it could work at full capacity. They were about to pass a curve ahead, and it would be risky if the trolley continued at that speed. Aoi stepped outside to do something that might help the trolley turn. Naoto warned her that it was dangerous, but Aoi continued because there was no other choice. She used her body weight to press down on one side so the trolley could lean into the turn. It helped, but the force she could apply alone was not enough. Sho immediately joined her, and the two of them worked together. Naoto considered reducing the speed before they reached the old track, but he doubted whether the brake system would hold up. Haruka then warned Aoi and Sho that they were about to enter an S-curve that started to the left and then turned right. The two of them once again manually shifted their weight to steer the trolley, putting in all their strength while shouting to keep themselves focused. After they passed the curve, Naoto commented that there was no need to make so much noise. Aoi realized she might indeed be acting foolish, especially after arguing over trivial matters with someone so obsessed with trains. Feeling irritated, she lightly hit Naoto's arm. Haruka smiled and admitted that all of them were being a little foolish. They laughed about it together. Suddenly, Sho felt heat at the back of the trolley when he touched it. He wondered if the high-precision resistor was malfunctioning. Aoi thought it felt extremely hot. Haruka explained that the electrical energy being generated was converted into heat energy, which was absorbed by the resistor, and according to the manual, this rising heat was expected. The trolley continued running steadily, and before long, Kumonotera began to come into view. When they arrived, several railway staff members were already waiting to greet them respectfully. One of the staff members admitted that they did not know the exact condition of the old track and asked Naoto and his team to remain cautious. The staff encouraged them to carry out their duties safely. Naoto and the others expressed their gratitude for the support. They then entered the old track section, where the vibrations were likely to grow stronger. Naoto asked Haruka to hold onto the bag tightly. They still had 10 tunnels to pass before reaching Yokogawa. It seemed they were halfway there. Naoto realized that new problems might begin now, because the old track was rarely used, and the heavy rain made it impossible to predict what awaited them ahead. If there were fallen rocks, the trolley could even tip over. Sure enough, the trolley shook violently when it struck stones on the rails, causing Naoto and Haruka to lose their balance and fall. Aoi insisted that this would not stop them. Haruka believed they would stay together and successfully deliver the organ. Sho felt confident that nothing could separate them, no matter what they faced. Naoto felt grateful for the teamwork among his friends. Suddenly, the trolley jolted again after running over tangled plant debris. Sho, Oi, and Haruka were thrown forward and landed against Naoto, making him shout in surprise. That night, the rain grew heavier, and the darkness around them became almost absolute. One day, Nana brought a cup of tea to Captain Hitomi. Captain Hitomi asked whether Nana was worried about Naoto. Nana replied that she probably should be worried about Naoto and the others. Captain Hitomi had just received a call from Tetsuya, and it sounded like he was enjoying teaching them. Nana smiled and said that Tetsuya had never really changed. She added that Captain Hitomi should try learning to make her own tea. Captain Hitomi believed that Naoto would be fine because he would become someone strong when the situation called for it. Nana admitted that from the beginning she had never really been worried about Naoto. Meanwhile, Oi, Haruka, and Shu were thrown toward Naoto when the motor trolley jolted violently. Oi quickly asked Haruka if she was okay. Shu remarked that the sudden jolt felt like an unexpected heart-pounding workout. Oi accidentally fell onto Naoto and immediately pulled herself away. The restoration work on the Usui rack rail section from Usui Bridge No. 3 to Yokokawa was almost complete, so it should no longer have been dangerous. However, the slope was getting steeper, and their speed was not decreasing at all. The motor trolley shook again and began tilting to the right. Naoto told Oi and Shu to try to balance it, but that was difficult to do inside the narrow tunnel. The tunnel walls kept them from tipping over, but once they exited the tunnel, it would become extremely risky. Shu believed they needed to maintain distance from the walls. He pushed off the tunnel wall with his foot to help stabilize the trolley's position. Naoto reminded him not to act recklessly while the trolley was moving. Even so, the action worked, and Naoto thanked him while also asking him not to do it again. Haruka said they would soon pass through Tunnel 6, the longest tunnel on the old line, and they needed to find a way to reduce their speed. She seemed to have an idea. She asked Shu to pedal harder, and he gave it everything he had. Naoto wondered if pedaling harder would only make them go faster. Haruka then switched the system to optimize the rack gear power so that the energy produced would not drive the wheels directly, but would instead increase the gear rotation, effectively applying the at-rack system. The Shinetsu main line had used rack rails commonly found in mountainous regions until 1963, and the old line still allowed for this mechanism to function. If they could connect the gear beneath the trolley to the rack rail, they might be able to handle the curves without tipping over, though it could still cause a heavy jolt. Naoto told everyone to hold on to something. Naoto pulled the lever, but it suddenly slipped back out of place. Oi urged him not to give up because his dream was to become a train driver. Haruka encouraged him to try again. Oi asked Shu to pedal even harder. Naoto and Oi pulled the lever together as the trolley sped through the long tunnel. Fortunately, the gear successfully connected with the rack rail. Both of them felt relieved. Oi mentioned that if their speed stayed like that, they might be thrown off. Naoto believed they would be fine as long as the out system continued to work. The trolley continued moving at high speed. Haruka nearly lost her balance, but Oi managed to catch her. The tunnel path curved sharply, and Naoto focused intensely on steering the lever to guide them through the bends. Thankfully, he managed to do it. Naoto felt a wave of relief as their plan worked exactly as intended. Oi also looked relieved. Naoto told Sho to stop pedaling. As soon as Sho stopped, he suddenly fell. Naoto became concerned and asked if he was okay. Sho explained that he had twisted his ankle when he kicked the wall earlier. Naoto told him to rest. The motor trolley exited the tunnel and moved onto Usui Bridge No. 3. Crossing the bridge felt as if they were walking across the sky because of its incredible height. Tunnel 5 was now clearly visible ahead. Once they entered it, the track inside curved slightly. Naoto realized that if this continued, there was a high chance the AT system might malfunction. He felt uncertain about whether they would make it to Yokokawa. Oi tried to move closer to Naoto, but she suddenly lost her balance and was thrown outward. Naoto quickly grabbed her hand. He pulled her back so her body would not hit the tunnel wall. For a brief moment, Naoto held Oi firmly to keep her safe, which surprised her. Naoto told her to be careful. Oi's face turned red with embarrassment, and she apologized to him. They were about to pass through the final tunnel. Sho and Oi held on tightly so their bodies would not be thrown off balance. The motor trolley sped forward and eventually cleared all the tunnels. Haruka and Naoto felt relieved, but suddenly a loud impact was heard. The ABT system had failed, which would have been extremely dangerous if it had happened while they were still inside the tunnel. The motor trolley continued along a quiet, dark track, and they were about to enter a new section of rail. So far, everything seemed safe. Soon they would reach the curve known as Sho Curve before heading toward Yokokawa. Naoto believed it would be manageable and felt confident he could handle it. Oi mentioned that she had nearly lost her life earlier because Naoto was the one operating the trolley. Naoto apologized, but what mattered most to him was that all of his friends were still safe at that moment. Owie asked whether they would really be fine since they had just lost part of the trolley, and Naoto told her not to worry. Even though the ABT system was damaged, the slope in that area was mild. The dynamic brake with a high-precision resistor should still be enough to handle the track they were on. Suddenly, an explosion came from the rear section. It seemed that the resistor had overheated. Owie asked Naoto what they should do. Naoto thought the only option was to pull the brake lever, but the brake did not respond. He rarely used it, which made the situation worse. Haruka suspected the brake might be worn out. Naoto asked what they should do next, and Haruka suggested that if they waited for a moment, the temperature might drop. The trolley then moved onto a section of track that crossed a bridge. Naoto explained that they would definitely need the brake as they approached the station, so he decided to wait until then. 2 curves were coming up ahead. Naoto asked Sho to take over for a moment, but Sho hesitated because he did not feel capable. Naoto insisted that Sho only needed to hold on briefly and pull the brake with all his strength once they reached the station. Sho agreed. Naoto then asked Owie to help shift their center of gravity when they reached the curve. He suggested this because Sho's leg was injured from a sprain. Owie questioned whether Naoto was certain, since it was not a simple action. Naoto said it was the only way to reduce their speed. Only 2 curves remained before they would reach the station. The motor trolley kept rushing forward at high speed. Owie told Naoto to move slightly because she would position herself beside him. Their bodies stood close together at the edge of the trolley. Owie reminded Naoto to stay focused, because losing concentration could cause them to fall. Owie asked Naoto to shout as loudly as he could when the time came. As they passed the curve, they shifted their weight and yelled at the top of their lungs. Naoto shouted that he was determined to become a train operator. In the end, they managed to get through. Owie remarked that Naoto's effort was impressive. Naoto felt relieved after passing that curve safely, but the final curve ahead was even sharper. At that point, they were on the longest straight track between Yokokawa and Karuizawa, known as the Maruyama stretch. Even though the incline was gentle, their speed continued to increase. They were approaching the last curve. Naoto told Owie to get ready. They repeated the same maneuver under tremendous pressure, trying with all their strength to shift their center of gravity. Naoto felt as if it was not making much difference. Suddenly, Haruka joined in to help, and Sho did the same. Thanks to the teamwork of all 4 of them, they successfully made it through the final curve. They were now close to Yokokawa Station. A yellow signal light was on, meaning they were permitted to enter, but they still had to be cautious. Naoto asked Sho to pull the brake. Unfortunately, Sho pulled the lever so hard that it snapped. There was no choice left but to try stopping the trolley manually. Sho jumped to the back of the trolley and tried to hold it back with all his strength. Naoto remarked that Sho's strength was truly incredible. Unfortunately, the rear section of the trolley detached, and it continued moving forward. Station staff were already shouting for them to apply the brake. Owie realized there was no option left except to jump. She held onto the bag containing the organ and prepared herself. Owie asked Naoto to help Haruka. After giving a signal, Naoto and Haruka jumped at the same time. Naoto caught Haruka, so she landed safely on top of him without getting hurt. After that, Owie also jumped from the trolley and landed safely. The motor trolley eventually toppled over and came to a stop. Naoto held Haruka tightly and asked about the condition of the bag. Haruka assured him that the bag was fine, which made Naoto feel relieved. The 2 of them then handed over the bag containing the organ to the officer who had been contacted earlier by Tomomi. After expressing their thanks, they hurried toward the hospital. Haruka apologized because Naoto had to go through so much trouble due to her own stubbornness. She admitted that she had once lost someone in a similar situation, which was why she could not just stand by and do nothing. Naoto believed that this time was different because they had succeeded. Not long after, Owie arrived and scolded them for still holding hands. She looked annoyed at how overly attentive Naoto was toward Haruka, then flicked Naoto's forehead quite hard. Naoto was confused about why Owie did that. Sho reminded them that the most important thing was that their mission had been successful. Naoto apologized because his lack of skill had caused everyone to get hurt during the operation. He realized that this was what happened when he served as the vice leader of the division, especially since his real goal was not to become part of the security unit but to become a train driver. However, at that moment, he was indeed part of the security unit. Because of that, Naoto asked if they would all continue to stay with him in K4. Haruka held Naoto's hand and agreed to stay by his side. Sho, who had already placed his trust in Naoto, did the same. Owie also joined in the handshake, and Naoto smiled happily. The next day, Naoto and his friends prepared for their next training session. Tetsuya commented that they had suddenly become very united as a team and praised their teamwork. He then casually asked if anything had happened while they were resting. Naoto said that nothing had happened. Tetsuya joked around with a few playful assumptions but quickly brushed them aside, saying that what mattered most was that the four of them had performed well during training. Tetsuya told Naoto that he had passed, although just barely, and that there were still many things Naoto needed to learn before becoming a train driver. He added that Naoto should visit him again next time because he planned to give him even more intense training. After training, Naoto and the others went out together. Shu was already hungry and wanted to find a restaurant right away, but Marie stopped him because they had to head to Nao's concert venue quickly so they would not be late. Naoto praised Marie for being able to get along easily with anyone. Marie denied it and said that she still considered Nao her rival. Naoto did not understand what kind of rivalry Marie was talking about, and Haruka simply laughed at his confusion. Naoto then approached Ui, who was standing in front of a shop window, looking at a dress. He mentioned that JNR would replace the clothes Ui had worn during the incident. Naoto asked whether Ui wanted to buy the dress. Ui brushed off the idea, saying that she probably needed to buy clothes that allowed her to move more freely. She felt that frilly outfits did not really suit her. Naoto said that an outfit like that would actually look good on Ui. Their faces accidentally moved close to each other, which startled Ui. Naoto commented that Ui would look very cute wearing something like that. Feeling embarrassed, Ui turned her face away. She started thinking that maybe she would buy the frilly dress after all because of what Naoto had said. Soon after, Haruka called Ui to look at some cute items in the shop. Before leaving, Ui told Naoto that she had decided to join the security unit. Naoto responded that he would continue chasing his dream of becoming a train driver. Ui said that she would protect Naoto while he was operating the train. They still had to complete their on-the-job training and pass the evaluation from the JNR director. Ui thought that if Naoto's skills stayed the way they were, it might be difficult for that to happen. Naoto wondered why Ui said that, and he was certain it was related to the incident they had just experienced together. One day, Ui and Naoto were training together, running through heavy rain. Naoto looked completely exhausted. Ui urged him to finish his training routine quickly so they would not be late for work. Naoto admitted that he no longer had the strength to keep running. Ui reached out her hand to help him, but Naoto twisted his ankle and accidentally fell onto her. He immediately apologized, feeling uncomfortable when he ended up too close to her. Ui pushed him away with her foot. Afterward, she treated his sprained ankle. Earlier, Ui had been asked to personally train Naoto. She reminded him that he needed to put in more effort. Naoto felt confused because he thought he was only supposed to learn martial arts techniques, not undergo intense physical conditioning. According to Ui, physical training alone was still not enough for him. His courage also needed to be sharpened, so that even after being knocked down, he would still be able to stand up again. Since they would be working for JNR, Ui wanted Naoto to prove that he had the bravery required for the job. That morning in the workroom, Ui was busy assembling her service pistol. She commented that assembling a pistol was easier than handling more complex devices, though Naoto was more concerned about safety. Ui playfully stepped on Naoto's injured foot, which naturally made him wince in pain. She then told him to see a doctor because what she had done earlier was only basic first aid. Haruka arrived and brought tea for them. She handed a cup to Naoto and leaned in close as she tried to glance at his phone screen. Naoto was reading news about Prince Bernina's visit to Tokyo. His face turned red because Haruka's face was so close to his. Ui admitted that she did not really like things related to princes or royal fantasies. Naoto wondered if women usually enjoyed that kind of thing. Ui questioned whether she would really suit a life in a palace, dancing at formal events, falling in love at first sight, and marrying into royalty. In her view, a woman's happiness could not simply depend on a partner. She also felt that being embraced by someone dressed like a prince would make her feel extremely embarrassed. Hearing that, Naoto became convinced that any man who managed to win Ui's heart would probably have a difficult time. That night, Haruka and Naoto were assigned to escort Prince Bernina, who would be boarding the limited edition Hokuto-sei 3-sleeper express bound for Sapporo, arriving on track 13. Naoto was thrilled when he saw the train passing right in front of him. The front of the Hokuto C3 was powered by an EF81 electric locomotive. The train consisted of 12 cars. Its power system was supported by generator cars located toward the rear, starting around cars 10 and 11. Cars 1 and 5 were equipped with Type B sleeping compartments, featuring bunk beds and private space. Car 6 was a lounge area with sofas and a restroom. Car 7 was the dining car. Cars 8 through 10 offered Type A facilities, while the last car returned to Type B. Bernina already knew many details about this train, which was why he had wanted to ride it once he arrived in Japan. He was amazed when he finally saw the EF81 locomotive in person, far beyond his expectations. Bernina excitedly approached Haruka and wondered why the train used generator cars instead of relying entirely on overhead electric lines. Haruka explained that some areas in Hokkaido were not fully supplied with electricity, and the generator cars provided the necessary power when passing through those sections. Haruka further explained that the Hokutoshi's generator cars were equipped with large diesel generators known as Kanu 24. Bernina became even more enthusiastic and hurried toward the train. He mentioned that the DF51 diesel locomotive was known for its reliability and for operating independently without overhead electricity when passing through narrower routes. Bernina felt very fortunate to be able to see such trains up close. He clearly loved the variety of JNR machinery. Naoto understood exactly how Bernina felt. There were many types of trains at the station, including the EF66, a newer locomotive often seen pulling the Hayabusa and Fuji services, and the EF63, famously nicknamed the Mountain Sherpa for its role on steep routes. Bernina asked whether Naoto was also a train enthusiast. He became so happy talking with Naoto that he briefly embraced him in excitement. Naoto then called Nona to inform her that he was escorting Bernina to the special waiting room, with Haruka accompanying them, while Aoi had gone to the security office. Nona informed Naoto that the prince would depart for Sapporo's twin city by train at 19:03, and Naoto's duty was to guide the prince safely until arrival. She reminded him to maintain proper posture and to trust his judgment when making decisions he believed were right. After that, Naoto returned to Bernina and Haruka. Bernina mentioned that Haruka had been talking about Naoto earlier. She asked Naoto to call her by her first name because she wanted them to feel closer. Naoto was surprised to learn how fluent Bernina was in Japanese. According to Bernina, Haruka had taught her many things in the past. Haruka's face turned red when she heard that. Naoto praised Haruka, saying it was impressive that she had a friend who was a prince and had even taught him so much. Haruka clarified that she and Bernina had only been classmates when she studied abroad and that the relationship had not gone beyond that. She felt uneasy and went out of her way to assure Naoto that she was telling the truth. Naoto then called Aoi to ask where she was. Aoi explained that she had spotted a suspicious person wearing unusual clothing and dark glasses who had been watching the Hokutoshi train for a while. Once the person realized Aoi was observing him, he immediately ran away and she chased after him. The man shouted at her, forcing Aoi to restrain him. Naoto reminded her that the train was about to depart, but Aoi insisted on capturing the suspect because it was her duty to protect Naoto. Soon after, the train doors began to close as it prepared to leave. Naoto quickly boarded the train. Even after the train departed, he kept trying to contact Aoi, but she did not answer. The Hokutoshi train traveled along track 3 on its route from Ueno to Sapporo. It passed several stations including Omiya, Utsunomiya, Koriyama, Fukushima, Sendai, Hakodate, Mori, Yakumo, Oshimam, Toya, and Datemanbetsu. Naoto continued waiting for a reply from Aoi, but she still had not contacted him. He returned to his seat with Haruka, Sho, and Bernina. Haruka asked where Aoi was. Naoto explained that Aoi had taken a different route. Haruka was surprised to hear that Aoi was not on the train. Naoto reassured her that they would meet Aoi later, especially since Sho was also on guard duty. Haruka's task was to keep watch over Bernina. The three of them were determined to carry out their responsibilities well. After that, they decided how to divide the rooms. At that time, Sho stood guard inside the room. He wondered whether it was acceptable for him to stay inside rather than stand outside the door. According to Naoto, Sho would attract too much attention if he stood outside, which might alert their enemy to the target's location. Sho asked whether Naoto believed their opponent was dangerous. Naoto advised everyone not to overthink the situation. He then went to room 12 next door, only to realize that Haruka was in the middle of changing clothes. Naoto immediately closed the door and waited until Haruka allowed him to enter again. He apologized, and Haruka admitted she was startled by his sudden arrival. Haruka mentioned that she had learned some self-defense techniques from Aoi. She planned to help if a fight broke out, so she chose clothing similar to Aoi's practical and fitted style. Naoto felt that Haruka's role was simply to act as a decoy, and that she did not need to fight. He added that Haruka always looked graceful, like a real princess. Haruka felt embarrassed when she heard that. Haruka stayed in room 11, which was originally meant for Bernina, as part of their plan to mislead the suspect. Naoto stayed with Bernina in room 12 to protect her. When Naoto returned to room 12, he suddenly noticed a shadow passing by. He knocked on the door, but there was no response. Concerned, he forced the door open and found that Bernina was not inside. He began to wonder if the shadow he had seen earlier was the suspicious person Aoi had mentioned. Naoto immediately started searching for Bernina. Not long after, a staff member reprimanded Bernina for entering a staff-only area. Naoto felt relieved when he saw her and quickly approached her. Bernina apologized, explaining that she had simply been curious. Naoto also apologized for causing a commotion. Moments later, Bernina slipped away again without warning. Naoto grew worried that she might accidentally enter another restricted area. He then ran into Marie, who turned out to be assigned to work on that train as well. Suddenly, Bernina appeared from below and hurried past Marie, causing Marie to lose her balance and become flustered. Marie reacted in embarrassment, while Bernina quickly ran off. Naoto chased after Bernina and promised Marie that he would make sure Bernina apologized properly. Naoto kept chasing Bernina as she ran from one train car to another, then guided her back to her seat in room 12. Bernina admitted that she felt a little envious of Naoto and the others, since they could move around freely on such a magnificent train. She asked whether Naoto and his friends were interns at JNR, which allowed them to work there. Naoto openly shared how much he loved trains and how he dreamed of becoming a train driver someday. Bernina said she also wanted to become a train driver at least once in her life. Naoto asked whether she was not supposed to become a queen in the future. Ironically, Naoto felt jealous of Bernina, believing her future was already secure. Bernina laughed and explained that she was only the 5th candidate in line, and she would not inherit the throne unless something unexpected happened. She said she wanted to take a bath and asked Naoto to promise not to peek. Naoto stepped out and headed to the vending machine. In the hallway, he passed a man carrying a large suitcase, but at the time, he felt no suspicion. He returned to room 12 and tried to call Uwe, but her phone was off. Not long after, Naoto came across a news report about an accident in Atella involving the royal family. Earlier that day, a vehicle carrying the king and his 4 children had been involved in a serious accident, and their condition was still unknown. Naoto rushed to inform Bernina. When he entered the room, he was surprised to notice women's undergarments lying nearby. For a moment, he wondered whether he had mistakenly entered the wrong room. He even imagined that he might have stepped into room 11, where Haruka could have been in the bathroom. Then he heard Bernina's weak voice calling from inside the bathroom. Naoto immediately tried to open the bathroom door and forced it open when there was no response. He carefully carried Bernina, who had grown faint, back to the seat. He was startled by the situation and became flustered, but he quickly calmed himself. Closing his eyes to maintain respect for her privacy, he used a towel to dry her off and then covered her with a blanket. Naoto was about to call Haruka for help, but Bernina stopped him. She explained that she only felt dizzy after seeing the news about her family on her phone and that she was worried about them. Naoto reassured her that her family would surely be safe. Bernina thanked him sincerely. Naoto apologized for having seen her in that condition. It turned out that only a small number of people in the royal family knew about her situation, and she had not even told Haruka. Bernina apologized for keeping it hidden and asked whether Naoto would keep it a secret. Naoto agreed without hesitation. Soon after, Sho knocked on the door and asked if everything was alright. Naoto answered that there was no problem. Later, Naoto invited Bernina and Sho to the dining car. Although the dining car was officially closed, Marie had already asked the chef for permission. Marie served them warm drinks and even decorated Naoto's cup with a small train drawing. Sho wondered why Naoto had not invited Haruka. Naoto explained that he had knocked on her door earlier but received no response, so he assumed she was asleep. Sho found it strange because the noise earlier had been loud enough that anyone nearby should have heard it. Suddenly, a man wearing dark glasses entered the dining car, even though it was closed. Sho immediately sensed trouble. The man was holding a stun gun. He tried to attack Sho, but Sho quickly blocked the attempt. Sho warned that the man was likely targeting the princess, and they could not take the situation lightly. Naoto told Marie to hide and asked Sho to avoid seriously hurting the attacker, though Sho admitted he might struggle to hold back. At that moment, the lights in the dining car went out. Sho struck again, causing the stun gun to fly from the attacker's hand. Soon after, the attacker's partner appeared. Sho realized it would be difficult to handle 2 people while also protecting others. Naoto urged Bernina to move away with him, while Sho continued to hold them off. Naoto led Bernina to a private room and told her to stay inside and lock herself in. Suddenly, one of the attackers appeared and used a stun gun on Naoto. He cried out in pain as the electric shock weakened his body. Bernina pleaded with the attacker to stop hurting him. Despite the pain, Naoto refused to give up, believing that Iwi would come to help. The repeated shocks made him weaker, and Bernina could not bear to see him suffer. She stepped in front of him and begged the attacker to stop. Just as the attacker prepared to shock Bernina, Iwi suddenly appeared and kicked the attacker away with force. She remarked that Naoto had done a decent job holding out. Iwi helped Naoto to his feet, and together they prepared to subdue the attackers. Naoto asked Bernina to remain in the special room, and Bernina hoped that he would not put himself in danger for her sake. She held Naoto tightly, and he gently calmed her down. Iwi wondered why Naoto had not taken action against the perpetrator yet. At that moment, the perpetrator suddenly struck Iwi. He then moved toward Naoto, and Naoto tried to shield Bernina. The perpetrator prepared to use a stun device on Naoto, but Ui quickly stepped in to protect him. She cried out in pain and used all her strength to kick the perpetrator away. Sho, who was also in pain, could only lean against Naoto's body. Fortunately, just as the perpetrator was about to approach them again, Sho stepped forward and used his own stun device, causing the perpetrator to lose consciousness. Sho apologized for arriving late and admitted that he had already dealt with the other perpetrators. Naoto thanked both Sho and Oi for helping him. Oi had once said that she would always protect Naoto. Afterward, Oi explained that she had previously boarded the Tohoku train. She had asked Nana for help, and Nana instructed her to take the bullet train from Omiya so she could catch up with the Hokudosei in Sendai. Naoto acknowledged that the Hokudosei could not match the speed of the Tohoku. He apologized for getting Marie involved in the incident. Marie commented that Naoto's reckless actions often made others worry, and she also reminded Oi to be more careful. Sho had already restrained the perpetrator and placed him in the freight car. Oi asked what they should do with him next. Naoto suggested handing him over to the security unit once they arrived at Hakodate Station. Oi admitted that she still felt dissatisfied without giving the perpetrator a proper lesson. Not long after, Haruka's phone rang and Naoto answered it. Unexpectedly, a man spoke through Haruka's phone. It turned out that Haruka had been kidnapped and placed inside a suitcase. Naoto immediately panicked, and Oi took the phone from him to ask who was using Haruka's device. The man explained that when he arrived at the prince's room, he did not find the prince, and instead found Haruka, who he intended to use as leverage. He planned to use Haruka as a hostage and demanded that she be exchanged for the prince. Oi made it clear that she had no intention of negotiating with a terrorist. The man warned that if Haruka's role as a hostage was considered meaningless, he would treat her however he wished. He also threatened to harm Haruka if Naoto and the others continued investigating the perpetrators. After delivering the warning, he ended the call. Naoto and the others immediately went to room 11. Naoto admitted that the situation was partly his fault because he had not paid enough attention when he knocked on the door earlier. They could not find even the slightest clue at the scene. Still, Naoto believed there had to be something they had missed. Oi reminded him that in a situation like this, a deputy division leader should remain clear-headed and give proper instructions. Naoto then called Nana to report what had happened. He explained that the train was still moving, there were many places to hide, and it was difficult to conduct a thorough search. Nana informed him that backup forces were still waiting for instructions. She had also contacted headquarters, and they had requested that no one act recklessly. Chief Osamu had also warned them not to take hasty action before the situation became clearer. Nana believed that the perpetrator's main goal was to reduce the prince's security. No one knew the exact number of perpetrators, so acting carelessly would be extremely risky. Nana encouraged Naoto and the others to stay strong. She said she would head there herself and would contact the train conductor to help secure the passengers. Naoto sounded very nervous about carrying out the mission, but Nana reassured him that he was capable of making the right decisions. Oi commented that Naoto was being too soft. Naoto responded that anyone would feel worried in such a situation. Oi said that even so, he should not rely on others too quickly for help. Naoto wondered how Oi could remain so calm. He was convinced that Haruka was not in a good condition. Oi emphasized that even though Haruka was only an intern, she was still part of the security unit and could protect herself. Naoto pointed out that Haruka was not as strong as Oi. Seeing their argument, Marie stepped in and asked them to stop. She said the situation had made her sweaty and invited Oi to freshen up with her. They went to room 11, and Marie explained how to use the hot and cold water system in the train's bathroom. Oi thanked Marie and realized that she probably needed to act more maturely. She reminded Marie to be careful because the perpetrator had already seen her face, which meant she could be targeted if she was alone. Oi suggested that Marie stay close to the prince, believing that he would surely keep Marie safe. Marie did not understand which prince Oi was referring to. After finishing and getting dressed, Marie immediately went out to meet Naoto. She mentioned that if Naoto were accepted into the security unit, she hoped Oi would continue to work alongside him. Naoto said that would be unlikely because he intended to become a train driver who always prioritized safety. Marie responded that Naoto's dream was something truly valuable. The train came to a stop at a station. Oi had assumed it would not stop until reaching Hakodate, but Marie explained that even though the train had halted, passengers were not allowed to get off. The stop was only meant for turning the locomotive using the ED-79, which was equipped with a control safety system for passing through the Seiken Tunnel, and was used to pull the Hokudosei toward Hakodate. The next morning, Bernina was still asleep in her bed. Naoto asked Oi whether Marie was doing okay. Oi teased him by saying that the prince was being overly worried, and Naoto realized that Oi was referring to him. He felt the joke did not suit him at all because he was not a prince. Still, he came up with an idea to switch places with the prince as part of a plan to negotiate with Haruka's captors. Naoto put on Bernina's clothes, while Bernina wore the uniform of the security unit. The train was about to arrive at Hakodate Station. The criminals that Sho had successfully apprehended were taken off there and handed over to the local security officers. After that, the train would pass through a section without electricity, meaning it had to switch to the narrow-gauge diesel engine DF51. Oe reminded Naoto that his turn was coming up soon, especially since the backup they had hoped for never arrived. The train continued its journey. Nana escorted Bernina to a safe place, while Naoto and the others focused on rescuing Haruka. Suddenly, Sho showed up and commented that the attackers seemed to be small-time criminals.